дублировать на этот телефон, на мобильный. Так, это мы сейчас по дороге. Не хочу тратить батарейку. А, вот, смотри, какой цурик. Проезжаем цурика сверху.
Wow, that's not pretty.
Come on.
Look.
Hold on, darling, hold on.
Yeah, now earlier on we have passed Main Station Street or Bahnhofstrasse. It's one of the most expensive shopping streets in the world, also one of the most elegant streets, not only in Zurich but in the world. It used to be part of the city moat, part of the city defense structure, and it used to be quite smelly throughout the Middle Ages because people would also compras, o una de las avenidas de compras más caras y más elegantes del mundo. Era parte de la fosa de la ciudad, o sea que la gente tiraba su basura ahí dentro y no era siempre tan elegante como es hoy. Hoy día, después de un... And then, later we're going to Mount Titlis and Engelberg. Engelberg is the town at the foot of Mount Titlis, where some of us will spend the afternoon. Por el pie de la montaña de Pilatus, donde nos dejan otras personas más, y luego vamos a pasar por Tiflis y Engelberg. Engelberg es el pueblo al pie de la montaña de Tiflis, donde otra vez nos van a dejar algunas personas para pasar la tarde ahí en Engelberg, y luego vamos a subir al Tiflis conmigo. Y si van a la montaña, vamos a llegar a la cima de la montaña, alrededor de las 12:33. Entonces, si tienen hambre, es una idea comerse algo.
Oh. You put on silent, there's no sound.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. This is funny.
Unless they ring.
Out of the city of
Oh, look how
Zurich. This is what we call the agglomeration here. That means that the cities, the towns around the city, around the larger cities, are actually growing together with the city, so that you can barely see the difference or the borders between the city and the towns around it. Many people prefer to live outside the city itself because it's cheaper, it's easier to find an apartment outside the city. So many people prefer to either live outside the city or then they share a flat or an apartment with colleagues or friends or with family. The living costs are very high in Switzerland. You may have noticed that. The breadline is at 2,200 for a single living individual or at 4,000 francs for a family of 4. And that's really what you need to live here. You may have noticed that everything is rather expensive here in Switzerland. And for many people, it's actually hard to keep up with that. However, we have very good social securities. You're very well taken care of. If you can't support yourself, if you do not earn enough, if you lose your job, you will be paid up to 75% of your last salary for 2 years, as long as you prove that you are actually really seriously looking for work. So this is why you hardly see any beggars that really have to live on the street in Switzerland. Ya hemos dejado la ciudad de Zurich, estamos en lo que llamamos la aglomeración. La aglomeración quiere decir que los pueblos alrededor de las pequeñas ciudades, alrededor de las ciudades grandes, están creciendo junto a la ciudad, se están juntando a las ciudades grandes, así que la frontera entre las ciudades es casi no visible. Entonces hay mucha gente que prefiere vivir afuera de la ciudad, porque es un poco más barato, un poco más fácil encontrar un apartamento afuera de la ciudad. Entonces hay gente que prefiere o vivir afuera de la ciudad y luego viene a la ciudad a trabajar todos los días, o si no, vive en la ciudad pero viven con amigos, viven con colegas. Uno pierde su trabajo, uno va a recibir hasta 75% del último salario por 2 años, en cuanto está probando que realmente, o sea, hasta que lleva prueba que realmente está buscando trabajo. Así que, por eso,
Look at the picture.
Oh.
en
Oh. What's your name?
Angelina.
Oh.
And look, she's angry.
There's two after her. Two cats. There's a dog.
Yeah. They're not after them. They're best buddies, and she wants
Those
Tom.
white buildings
Mm.
under the bridge to your left. Noten esos edificios blancos a la izquierda por debajo del puente.
Различка, не мешай мне.
Former textile industry buildings.
Oh,
The beating
yes.
factory former. The textile industry was very big, very important in the industrial age up until the Second World War. Now
Oh,
these particular buildings here, this particular beating factory in the Second World War was used to receive refugees. So some 500 refugees lived there in this building during the Second World War. And they fled, of course, to Switzerland because Switzerland did not take an active part in the Second World War. Today, the textile industry has lost its importance for Switzerland. Most textiles are imported from cheaper countries that produce cheaper than Switzerland, from Asia or from South America. Estos edificios que les he mostrado son edificios de una fábrica de textiles. Ya no en uso, pero durante la edad industrial, la industria de textiles era muy importante por la región del Zurich. Y eso era así hasta la Segunda Guerra Mundial, y en la Segunda Guerra Mundial esos edificios que hemos visto fueron usados por refugiados de la Segunda Guerra Mundial, que se refugiaron a Suiza porque Suiza no tomaba una parte activa en la Segunda Guerra Mundial, sino que se quedaba neutral durante ese tiempo. Hoy día la industria de textiles ya no tiene tanta importancia en Suiza porque la mayoría de textiles está importado desde países que producen un poco más económicamente. A la izquierda ahora un zoológico que tiene animales nativos de Suiza. Tenemos ciervos, por ejemplo, ahora. Fearless, this is one of the oldest zoos in Zurich. Today it's much more of a wild animal park that has native animals such as rat, deer, now Fearless.
Oh, look. Reindeer. Oh,
This zoo stems from the second half of the 19th century, and today it also takes part in various projects to try to repopulate the forests or the steppes of Central Asia, for example, and other animals that are threatened by extinction.
Oh, look, reindeer, really, look.
They are
You wanted to look
breeding frisky wolfsky horses, very old race
look.
horses.
How many of them? They're in the wild.
Central Asia, and they are quite successful in trying to repopulate them over in
Oh my
Central
God,
Asia.
zoo, that's
If you look
where
to your right,
the zoo
you're going to see a number of these horses standing there. A la derecha ahora, los caballitos. Now you can see them to your right. A la derecha, los caballitos. Es una raza muy antigua de caballitos que vivía en los stepas en los desiertos de Asia Central. Están a bordo de la extinción, y este zoológico toma parte en programas.
You're looking to look there.
No one's interested in the game.
You're very miserable. Up to the mountain.
The Elbus is a mountain chain that goes from Zurich all the way over here. It is not a very high mountain, only 800 meters high, so we're not yet in the Alps. Switzerland has 3 geographical regions. We have the Alps, of course, the most popular region over the park where we are headed to. Then we have the flatlands or the mainlands, the midlands, this is where we are now. Partes geográficas, tenemos los Alpes, donde vamos a ir hoy día. Tenemos la meseta donde estamos ahora, o sea que no estamos en los Alpes ahora, no estamos en los Alpes. Y luego tenemos
trying to film. You distracted. Oh yeah.
I'm going to get myself. I'm making a car thing.
Yeah. At the same time, dog win. I will be cat. You do.
Okay. I like dogs. No. I'll do 2 in a row, okay?
What?
3 in a row, okay?
What should do?
I'm the dog. I'll go first.
Why? I know. I'm going to.
Haha, I'm a dog. I'm going to be a dog.
We're now entering a bit of forest here. This is the most expensive leaf forest of this region. Now the forest is very important in Switzerland for various reasons. Actually in the 70s there was a great fear of forest dying. They even coined terms at that time, the dying of the forest. And since the time, great efforts have been made in order to regrow the forest, in order to take care of the forest, so that today about 30% of the area of Switzerland are covered in forests. The forests, of course, are very important for recreational reasons. A small little lake with a natural protection habitat around it, and it's very good water quality, as all of our 1,500 lakes that we have here in Zurich. A la derecha ahora el lago de Thurla, un laguito pequeño que tiene un parque nacional de protección alrededor. Tiene una calidad de agua muy buena como todos los 500 lagos que tenemos en Suiza. También estamos en el bosque hoy día ahora, que es uno de los bosques más grandes de la región. Los bosques en general son muy importantes por nuestro país. Desde los años 50 había los años 70 había un miedo de que los bosques se iban a morir. Hasta tenemos una frase que dice el morir de los bosques o la muerte de los bosques, y ahora estamos cuidando muy bien a nuestros bosques y hemos crecido a los bosques, así que Suiza hoy está cubierto en bosques por 30% del área. Los bosques tienen importancia en el área recreacional. Por supuesto, la gente le gusta ir a los bosques, a pasear, para escapar un poco a la ciudad, Luego también tiene una importancia económica, en lo que Suiza es uno de los países más competitivos en lo que es la economía de madera. Y luego también los bosques ayudan, especialmente en la parte montañosa de Suiza, ayudan a proteger de los avalanchas, o sea que ayudan con sus raíces para que la tierra no se resbala y también frena un poco a los avalanches. Now, when we drive across the countryside, first of all, notice the landscape. It's rather flat here. We'll point it out later on when we get closer to your tick list. You can notice yourself when you go to your respective mountain that the landscape will really change a lot. So we are here in the flatlands, we're not in the Alps yet. You will see the change in the landscape later on. Now, when we drive across the countryside, you may get the impression that we have a lot of agriculture in Switzerland. It's not the case, actually. Since the 60s, there has been a great fear of the farmers dying. There's also been a coin term, the dying of the farmers. So since then, most of the agriculture that we have here is subsidized, it's supported by the government. That's how our agriculture works today. And of course, the difficulty is the international competition. Countries, the cities, a bit more economical than we do. And the reason for that is that we have very strong regulations concerning our agriculture, especially concerning the animals. So if you have poultry, you will not be allowed to have them in battery cages, for example. So your chickens will have to have a little space at least. And also if you have cows, if you have cattle, they have to be outside under the free sky for at least 90 days a year. That, of course, is a bit difficult sometimes for farmers Not many people say that, therefore our organ is interesting, but very different. Talking about milk, of course, milk is also used to make chocolate, and I strongly recommend you try some chocolate. Although it's not there, there's risk of an addiction. And I know what I'm talking about. Be careful there. That chocolate really is very good. Bueno, estamos ahora yendo por el campo. Puede dar la impresión que tenemos mucha agricultura aquí. La verdad es que ya no tenemos que, me parece interesante ver la diversificación que tiene las variedades diferentes de ciertos duros, blandos, ciertos de sabores muy diferentes. Y creo que vale la pena probar esas diversidades. Y luego también, claro que hacemos el chocolate de nuestra leche. Si no han probado el chocolate de Suiza, les recomiendo que lo hagan, pero tiene el riesgo de hacerse adicta. Yo sé de lo que estoy hablando, o sea que cuídense un poco, que suena de chocolate, de verdad. You're now getting closer to the Alps. Now, this particular town here, you can see it's a rather old town. You can see the old houses already here, the half-timbered houses again. Now, of course, traveling merchants used to go over the Alps for a long time in history. And of course, traveling merchants, traders, they would have spent the night somewhere, changed their horses somewhere before or after going over the Alps. And this is one such town where people would stay and change their horses. And we actually still have one of these very old horse changing stations from the 16th century. Today it houses a hotel and cultural center, and you can still, as you arrive, see the white metal sign with a white horse called the White Little Horse in space. This type of metal sign is very typical, not only in Switzerland, but in many parts of Europe. Times when people couldn't read, it was very clear to them that this is the white horse, this is the horse changing the station. A la izquierda, ahora vamos a ver paisajes.
You have great daisies. Is it cows or sheep?
And I got Willie that died.
A wool is a sheep, yeah?
Yeah. And then I got cows.
No, the landscape again, a rather flat landscape. Now let me tell you a little bit about the history of Switzerland. In order to do that, we'll go back 700 years. You may have noticed the abbreviation of Switzerland that says CH. You may have wondered what it stands for. Now in Switzerland, obviously, there is no C and there is no H in that word, right? So CH is Latin and stands for Confederatio Helvetica. That means Helvetic Confederation. Now the H part, the Helvetic part, is relatively simple and easy. It refers to the Helvetians, which is Celtic tribes that lived here in this region of Switzerland in Celtic times. And also the protection patron of Switzerland, she is the woman in armor, for example, that you can see on Swiss coins, 1 franc coin, 2 franc coin. You can see her, that is Helvetia, that is our protection patron of Switzerland. Now the C part, the confederation part, it refers to our political system, our very federalistic state today. In order to explain that, where confederation really comes from, we'll now go back 700 years in history, back to 1291. At that time, Switzerland consisted mostly of farmers, and here in the central of Switzerland, where we are headed to, the first three farmers, the first three men came together, representing the first three regions or cantons of Switzerland. They came together and they swore an oath that they would get rid of the lords of Habsburg, or the dukes of Habsburg, that were giving them a very hard time. They were asking for just way too many taxes, so they wanted to free themselves from the tribunal of these Habsburgs. And they succeeded. They liberated themselves. They got independence. And over the centuries to come, more and more cantons, or a canton is what we call a province or a county or a state here in Switzerland. We have 26 of them today, and over the centuries they joined the first three. So back in 1291, the first loose confederation that was to become Switzerland was founded in the central of Switzerland. We're going to hear a bit more about that later on when we pass by the places where this actually is supposed to have happened. And then we'll sort it out. And that, of course, is Swiss history in a nutshell. The state of Switzerland was only internationally recognized as a sovereign state 150 years ago, in 1848. However, that history is still reflected in the political system of our country. So that means today we have a very centralistic state. All of the cantons that we have still are kind of a little bit like their own states. It's a very decentralized system. So we even have something we call the spirit of the cantons. That means that all of the cantons have a wee bit their own systems. They have police systems, school systems that are just a tiny bit different in each canton. Very special is the thing of public system outside of Switzerland that we do not have a president, but much rather we have our 7 federal councils. That means it's just like 7 presidents. Now every year one of them is appointed the first, but it's actually more like a primo inter pares, so he is sort of a president, but that's really just for representational reasons. He doesn't have any more power than the other ones. It's something I like very much about the system, because it means that the executive power is not focused on one single person, but much rather it's distributed among these 7 people. It also means that very polarizing politicians, very extreme opinions get leveled out a bit, because these 7 federal councils, they function according to a principle of collegiality. It means sort of a principle of loyalty. That means once they have decided upon an opinion among the 7 of them, neither one of them can later come and say, well, actually, I see things differently, actually I have a different opinion. That's the idea, at least. So extreme politicians get leveled out as soon as they are in this gremium of these 7 councils, federal councils. These federal councils, by the way, are also the only things that are not elected directly by the people. Anything else in Switzerland can be elected or voted on directly. So that means any topic I like to have a vote on, I'd like to change in my country, I have to gather 100,000 signatures of the citizens, and we will have to vote on that. In that way I can even overrule the parliament. If the parliament takes a decision that I don't like, I can gather 100,000 signatures of the citizens, and we will get to vote on that parliamentary decision, and we can see whether we want to stick with that decision or whether we want to abolish that decision and go a different way. That means it's a very active, very direct form of democracy. That means that we have a lot of voting here in Switzerland. There's no obligation to vote, but of course very often you're interested in the things, you want to vote on, but that also means you have to get informed about a lot of things. And of course it comes with its positives and negatives. So sometimes difficult decisions are taken by the people that make it a bit difficult internationally, and they're not always so diplomatic. Just recently there was one such decision that was taken by the people of Switzerland that probably was not very diplomatic concerning migration. The legendary founding of Switzerland took place. So we were not only headed to the geographical heart and center of Switzerland now, but much rather we're headed also for the historical center of Switzerland when it all began. Now note to your right, an old monastery, an old Benedictine monastery, where only very few nuns still are living. Today is mainly a school that takes also care of the gardens. A la derecha un monasterio antiguo de monjas benedictinas que ya no tienen sus monjas, sino que es una escuela que también se ocupa de los jardines aquí. Les voy a explicar un poco acerca de la historia de Suiza. De pronto han notado el CH, la abreviación de Suiza. Se han preguntado por qué CH, porque en Suiza no hay un C ni un A. se iban a liberar de los reyes de Habsburgo. Y eso lo hicieron, tuvieron éxito, se liberaron, se independizaron de los reyes de Habsburgo. Y a través de los siglos se juntaron más y más cantones, más y más regiones hasta cada cantón. También se refleja en el sistema de gobierno que tenemos, que es una cosa muy original que no existe afuera de Suiza. Que el poder político, el poder ejecutivo no está fijado y concentrado.
Queen of Mount.
From the 19th century, of course, the operating sector. Now, Queen Victoria once visited Lady, Queen of Mountains, so the Queen came to the Queen of Mountains, so to speak. She came here, however, when she came here, the Cochrane train was not yet installed, because she had servants who carried her up, sitting on her chair all the way up to Riggin, all the way to almost 2,000 meters of elevation. Estaba caminando, sino que todo lo que todavía existe. Now, Rigi Mountain, geologically speaking, is not part of the Alps, it's on another place, but it's almost hot. Yeah. You can see now to your left, the lake is Fort Campbell. We actually don't call it the lake of the Fort Campbell, but much rather the lake Lucerne. We're going to see it more than once today. We only call the part that is actually at Lucerne, or actually borders Lucerne, Lake Lucerne, and the whole lake is called the lake of Fort Campbell. Now, at the shores of this lake is where the mythical founding of Switzerland happened. So our national hero, William Tell, he was here back in 1291, you remember. He was here at the shores of this lake, one of the villages who lived here. And one of the lords of Habsburg, the Duke of Habsburg, that was controlling the fountain, and they asked him to help them steer the boat. And of course, William Tell, he wrote the two security men that had some custody on the shaky coast of the lake Flemish shores, and he went on to found Switzerland in the way described. Now this is only a legend, there's no historical basis. Originally it seems to have its roots somewhere in Scandinavia where they had similar bits. It became quite popular in the 18th century when Friedrich Schiller wrote a theatre play on the topic. However, many Swiss people actually believe it happened this way, and this tells us a lot about Swiss mentality. And I think this is where a bit of an aversion against joining the EU, the European Union, is also rooted. And combined with that very direct democratical system that we have, you can easily see why in people's minds were this spirit of independence, of being our own country, our own free, independent country, they will never vote for. Maybe as a bit of background how to understand what personality is and Swiss identity.
Pretty. Very pretty. Ага. Мама, это говорите в лице.
People go on the train or the thing. Train or
There's no choice.
Alright, we have now arrived at our first stop Now, this is only for those of you going to Rigi. So if you have a blue sticker, if you are going to Rigi, please come with me. I will take you to the train station. Esto es solamente por los que van a Rigi con el sticker, con el pegatón blue.
What's your stick? It's very important.
De nuevo, me estaba contando de Guillermo Tell. Guillermo Tell es una leyenda de nuestro héroe nacional. Y la leyenda dice que Guillermo Tell era uno de los paisanos que vivían ahí en esta región durante la época de los Habsburgos, la época de los Habsburgos estaban en tiempo muy difícil ahí. Había un rey de Habsburgo que era particularmente malo, y él montaba su sombrero en la ventana de la ciudad, en la plaza central de la ciudad. El segundo tiro por ti. Entonces, claro que no le dejaban libre, sino que le tomaban preso, le llevaban por el lago, pero había una tormenta, y entonces la gente que le tenía presa le daba miedo, y como él era un pescador muy bueno también, le preguntaban de ayudarle. Entonces le dejaban libre de claro que él escapaba, y él luego continuó de fundir Suiza, así como lo hemos escuchado un poco antes. Entonces, esa es una leyenda que no tiene base histórica, que se hizo muy popular desde que Hitler en el siglo XVIII antes de independizarse. Guillermo Tell es como la personificación de esa libertad, de este acto de liberarse. Entonces, en la mentalidad de los suizos, en la mente de los suizos está muy adentro que estamos una nación libre e independiente. Creo que eso, en combinación con esa forma muy directa de democracia que tenemos aquí en Suiza, eso explica un poco por qué no estamos en la Unión Europea, porque queremos quedarnos en nuestro propio país. Eso puede ayudar un poquito a entender esta aversión de Suiza contra juntarse a la Unión Europea, porque es que queríamos juntarnos a la Unión Europea, tendríamos que votar sobre este tema, y claro que la mayoría de gente no quisiera esto y no votaría por esto, por el movimiento, y es en parte por lo menos por esa mentalidad que está profunda en la historia, en la historia mítica de Suiza también.
Позади Люксрам, едем дальше, в Люцерн.
again, the Lake of the Four Cantons, that you may know by the name of Lake Lucerne. We call the Lake of the Four Cantons. A la derecha, el lago de los cuatro cantones, ahorita se conoce como el lago de Lucerne, pero nosotros lo llamamos lago de los cuatro cantones. We are now on the highway. You have noticed that we didn't have to pay any entry fee, any toll when we entered the highway. In Britain you have to buy a sticker to stick to your windshield that costs you 40 francs a year, and that allows you to use the highways for a year. We have tempo limits on Swiss highways, so the fastest you can go anywhere on the Swiss streets is on the highway, and the tempo limit here is at 120 kilometers per hour. It is about 75 miles per hour. Estamos en la autoruta, en la autopista ahora. En la autopista de Suiza no tenemos que pagar una entrada cada vez al entrar a la autopista, sino que tenemos que comprar un pegatón, which is Romanian. It's a language spoken in the very east of our country. It's got nothing to do with the language spoken in Romania, but much rather it is a Latin language comparable to Portuguese or Spanish. And there is a very small language. Only very few people speak that language today. No people are left that actually only speak that language. So you may know the Chesa ski resort, St. Maurice. This is the place where people speak a bit of Romansh, Romanian. Then we have Italian in the south of our country, bordering Italy, south of the Alps. People speak Italian. Then we have French, which is spoken in the west of our country. And then, of course, we have German. However, it is Swiss German that we speak here. Swiss German is a bit different of High German. The special thing about Swiss German is that it is only a spoken language. We do not write Swiss German. So all the written things that you see here are in High German, the German they speak in Germany. So that means that the children, as soon as they go to school, they will learn a bit of a semi-foreign language in order to be able to read and write. Now I will, in a few moments, give you a few examples of these two languages, also the differences between these two languages, and maybe also the reason why some people say Swiss German is not a language, but it is an illness of the throat. Entonces tenemos 4 idiomas nacionales aquí en Suiza. Un idioma es Romansh, que es un idioma latín, donde hay gente que habla ese idioma. Es un idioma muy pequeño que casi no hay gente ya que habla ese idioma. Luego tenemos italiano, que se habla en el sur de nuestro país. To say hello in High German, in Germany you would say Guten Tag. Guten Tag. Not too difficult. Here in Switzerland you would say Grüezi. Grüezi. You roll the R. Dude. Grüezi. You can make that a bit easier. You can just say Hoi. But that is a less formal version to say hello. Do you understand that? Okay. You can also say salut. Now, you may know the French word salut for hello. You're not formal with someone if you know someone well enough. Otherwise, you better go grüezi. Say goodbye in High German, you would say Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen. Swiss German, you would say Wiedersehen. Wiedersehen. Or again, you can just say Tschüss or Ciao. But that's some Italian part, of course. But that again is only if you know someone well enough. To say thank you. In High German you would go Danke. Danke. In Swiss German you would say Danke. Danke. That's feel it in your throat. Danke. Or again, you could use the French word to say merci. Merci. But nothing to do, of course, with the English mercy. Merci. Now to make it a little bit more difficult, I'll have you say the words that every foreigner, if they know Swiss people, have to say in Switzerland is the word for kitchen cupboard. In High German, that would be Küchenschrank. Wait for the Swiss German word. The Swiss German word would be Küchenschrank.
Oh, God.
Can you say that?
No.
So now you can see that some people say that. That's not even a language. You can do the same thing with a very typical dish we have here. It's a sort of cheesecake, where it's a salty cheesecake. It's not your average sweet cheesecake that you made of. The salty kind of cheesecake that we have here. We call that Gäsgericht.
Oh, God. Look at the language. I'll just speak it.
So now you're experts on the Swiss language. And I said, you know,
I like sitting on this cat.
Challenge, come listen. How's the this language? The language will always sound Can I say like this?
Look at this.
Птичка, рядом с лапчиком лес.
Very hard getting rid of a cat black baby now.
Oh, yeah, of course. It's awful. Oh, God.
I just act like it's a girl.
Murzik. Murka is girl. Murzik is a boy.
Tomboy.
Tom.
Do you know Kitty's a tomboy? You know she's a tomboy?
Is she?
Yeah, she's a tomboy. Tomboy. She's a little tomboy. Look at her.
Лечка, дай мне спокойно посмотреть.
Look at me.
Окей, darling, whatever.
From kind of the flavorful brown house.
Look at it.
Always in a very important city at the foot of the Alps. The story is about travelling merchants, the travellers already now Lucerne and William at the base to the Alps. Throughout history, people came here and they spent the night here in Lucerne before or after passing over the Alps and travelling over the Alps. Of course, there were a lot of taverns in order to accommodate these travelling merchants and these travelling throughout history. And that was the very big basis for tourism, of course, and tourism came up towards the end of the 19th century in what we call the Belle Epoque, beautiful era, when many people came here. For example, Queen Victoria, as we have heard before, she visited Lucerne, she also visited the Rigi that we have seen earlier, she also visited Pilatus, some of you are going to Pilatus today. So, Queen Victoria was up there also. Pilatus, she didn't have to be carried up, she went up there with the donkey on the back of the donkey. Now, Lucerne, as the city, started out as a monastery called Luciaria, that's where the name comes from. Some people also say it comes from the Latin word for light, and because when people traveled across the Alps, the lights of this city that's sometimes called the City of the Thousand Lights, shining down at the foot of the Alps in the dark. However, of course, this region was settled before you have the rest of Palestine, with lake dwellers around this lake community as well, to date back to some 5,000 years ago. So what else was here was amongst the there behind the trees, the trees, you can see this lighthouse. This is where we're at. A la izquierda, a través del lago, hay esta península con esa casita de blanco. Esa es la casa donde vivía Ricardo Wagner, de ópera de Alemania, que vivía aquí en Lucerne. Entonces, también han visto aquí la reina Victoria, por ejemplo, que hemos visitado, luego también ha visitado Margit Wade, como he dicho, ha visitado el monumento a Leónidas, que era uno de los monumentos más conocidos que ha existido en la historia. Pero Lucerne como ciudad que era muy importante, es una ciudad al fondo, al pie de los Alpes. Claro que tenía que pasarla por alguna parte antes de pasar a la Carlos Alpes. La izquierda ahora es el museo de transportes, el más grande de este tipo en Europa, y es un museo muy atractivo, sobre todo por to your left now, the Museum of Transport and Communication is the largest of its kind in Europe. It's a very attractive museum, especially for children, of course, but also adults. You can pretend to be a train driver in this museum, which is sometimes hard to get your kids out again once they're in here. And this black round building here, this is the IMAX cinema. It's the most visited cinema in Switzerland. It's a huge screen that most of all plays natural documentaries. So, a la izquierda ahora este edificio negro es el IMAX Cinema, es el cinema más visitado de Suiza y tiene una pantalla enorme con muchas películas naturales. Now, the head of the lake, you can just make out, it's a bit cloudy here, but you can, or a bit foggy here, but you can just make out this blackish building. This is the Congress and Cultural Center of Lucerne. A la izquierda, delante, este edificio de negro es el Centro de Congresos y Conciertos de Lucerne. Now, this center was built by the architect of Jean Nouvel, and this center has that was for each room, and that was quite a luxurious thing back in the 1900s. As you right now are coming to your left, the former and again casino, still a hotel. And of course, that's very beautiful overlooking the lake, lying on the shore of the lake. Entre ellos hay los primeros hoteles de lujo, o sea que los primeros que tenían baño privado por cada cuarto, que era bien lujoso. In Lucerne, you go back to the bus with me. Now, there are toilets here. However, if you can wait at all, I recommend you wait a few minutes until we get to our home base, because the toilets are cleaner there generally. Also, there are souvenir shops around the Lions Monument. I very much like you to stay with me and not run up to the souvenir shop so that we can all say a great catastrophe on Moses Bridge burned now due to a cigarette butt that was thrown there to the base of the bridge. However, we were quite lucky because a lot of the wooden picture panels that are in this bridge have been stowed away earlier because the bridge had been shortened. So if you walk over the bridge now, the important thing, the wooden picture panels are still the original ones. Now, I recommend you walk over this bridge and walk through the old city port. There's another old wooden bridge as well.
Like a battle pipe.
Where's the bridge?
Picture panels that show the south, not to your right, you can see it, that show a very interesting series of pictures. To your left side, you see the KK Elegant Conference and Cultural Center. You can also see the boat stops. So, if you're going to Pilatus, this is where you are going to arrive tonight in the evening. Just so you remember. This is one more very important thing, please reserve your seats. We have more guests coming on to our Barcelona tour here in Lucerne. So if you want to keep your seats, reserve your seats, put something onto your seat.
Where needs to go?
Well, right. If you're hungry, make sure you grab something here. You eat something here in Lucerne because it will take some time until we arrive at the top of your respective mountains. It will be between 2:30 and 3 o'clock depending on where you're going. So if you're hungry, it's a good idea to grab something here because you can't eat on the bus unfortunately. That would be a good idea. Any questions you may have, you come to me. Now, if you come back to this point here where the bus leaves you and we're not here, it's because we're still picking up other guests. We will come back, I will count you, and I will make sure everyone gets to their mouth. Okay?
Look at that moving knife.
Yeah, quite cute.
Cute?
Yeah, nice.
Not cute, Mom.
Alright,
We're going to leave us together, we're going to arrive there in a few minutes. Until then, please remember to fasten your seatbelts. Welcome to those who joined us here. You may be familiar with the law in Switzerland. It is mandatory in Switzerland to fasten your seatbelts, which is why I ask you to please fasten your seatbelts. I'm Evelyn. I will be your guide to Titlis or to the foot of Mount Pilatus. I will arrive shortly. Our driver's name is Feliciano. He's a very good driver and will take us safely to the mountains. Spirit who was at ease and was at rest. See the two.
Нам легендам сказать.
Bueno, Pilato, la montaña de Pilato tiene su nombre del Pilato, se dice que tiene su nombre del Pilato, del Señor del Arte, en la Biblia, que era responsable por poner, por matar a Jesús, por meterlo en la cruz. Y entonces la leyenda dice que el espíritu de Pilato, cuando está enfadado, manda tiempo malo a la región. La verdad es que Pilato muchas veces tiene el tiempo malo en esta región, muchas veces tiene esta dirección. Y la leyenda dice que como cuando sobre el lago de los Cuatro Cantones y también hasta Alemania, el tiempo está claro. Tiene el tren a cremallera más empinado del mundo, con un gradiente de casi 50%. Pero este tren a cremallera solamente va en verano, pues no lo podemos usar hoy día. Pero igual es una cosa muy especial, porque se supone que solamente estaba instalado en el siglo XIX. Dragons, many legends concerning dragons on the Mount Pilatus. There are good dragons and bad dragons. There's even supposed to be a dragon somewhere on top of Mount Pilatus. You can visit the Dragons Gallery that shows you in pictures some legends that are told concerning Mount Pilatus. Hay muchas leyendas acerca de la montaña de Pilato, de dragones que supuestamente vivían aquí. En la galería de dragones se pueden ver imágenes que cuentan las leyendas. Alright, so we have arrived at the foot of Mount Pilatus. This is only for those of you with the green stickers, only for those of you going to Pilatus. The rest of you, just wait on the bus and we'll be right back with you. So only those of you with the green stickers will go up to Mount Pilatus here. Solamente para la gente con los stickers de color verde, solo los que van a Pilatus
come out, what?
van a dejar.
Yes, we do.
Los que vienen a Tiklis conmigo se
Well, I do.
quedan.
Okay, you stay. Alright, okay, you stay here. I will go to cable car. Bye-bye. Oh, look at this. I will go to the mountain and stuff. Oh, look at this cable car. Look. I'm going to go.
They give you a fantastic opportunity to really have a look at the landscape from above as well. We'll see that later. This valley here is called the Engelberg Valley. Engelberg is the name of the village at the foot of Mount Titlis and also the name of this valley here. Engelberg is a German word, a German name, and translated it would mean the mountain of the angels. So I wish us all a very angelic day today. Bueno, estamos ya en los Alpes y les he mostrado el paisaje cuando partimos desde Zúrich, que era muy flaco el paisaje. Y si es que se dan cuenta ahora, el paisaje ha cambiado drásticamente. Es un paisaje completamente diferente con esas montañas altas que ya tenemos ahora, que realmente son parte de los Alpes ahora. ¿Se acuerdan que Suiza no solamente tiene Alpes, sino que tenemos tres partes geográficas en Suiza: los Alpes, luego la meseta, donde no hay montañas tan altas, y luego el Jura, que es otra cadena montañosa. También cuando se fijan, se dan cuenta que hay teleféricos o líneas de teleféricos, ropas de teleféricos por esas montañas, a la derecha y la izquierda las ven respectivamente. Son teleféricos que llevan personas o también bienes arriba a las montañas. Este valle, también el pueblo al pie de la montaña de Titlis, se llama Engelberg. Engelberg es una palabra alemana y se traduce a montaña de los ángeles. Yo espero que vamos a tener una tarde angélica aquí en la montaña de I'm very often asked whether people actually live in lakes. This is the lake of Engelberg. This is the lake of this city here. We are about to arrive at the foot of Mount Titlis. A la derecha ahora, el lago de Engelberg, de este pueblo aquí, y estamos por llegar aquí el pie del pico.
No, I can't see anything.
Alright, we are about to arrive here at Mount Titlis. You will already see now to your right.
Назад едем.
As you may have noticed, we are arriving in Lucerne already. So for those of you who joined us here in Lucerne, this is our ending point here of this journey together. I enjoyed our travels together so far very much. Take care. So de estar con nosotros. Para mí ha sido un tiempo muy bueno hoy día, un tiempo muy interesante también. Y así siempre uno aprende algo nuevo. Muchas gracias, cuídense mucho. Y gózate su tiempo aquí en Suiza. Y a donde sea que vaya. So this will be a very short stop again. If you need to use the bathroom, we're in the same place here at our home base where we have been before. If you quickly want to use the bathroom, that's okay.
Это только что очередь видно в театр, что ли? O'clock, we need to go.
Look, I've done it.
We need train F5, yes?
Yeah, F5.
Keep forgetting the train.
Thank you very much.
Greece, Mum.
What's this? Oh yeah, Greece, my favorite country. I like Greece.
Did you have to go in there?
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah. Will be great. Yes, also it's very nice. Thank you very much. Very happy New Year. I hope you have my first. It will find the time.
We're in Zurich already, bus station.
Long line?
Why don't you drop us in the bus station? It would be much easier.
Yeah, right.
Now we're on the train going back. Какой здесь train? Здесь можно до Берна доехать, совершенно спокойно. Maybe we should do it instead of going to the swimming place, which I've been warned is dangerous. I pay for some things we won't use, I really don't look forward to. Especially when in Germany, we've been on all this place. There's nothing better than in Germany.
Mum, you know your friend, the crazy one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lena? I'm not sure. Did you see that she went on the yellow slide? It went right down. Did you know that?
But you didn't go there, didn't you?
No. I wasn't old enough.
You wouldn't have been allowed, yeah?
Yeah,
This is what I mean. They all slide like that there. If she even... And I know how expensive it is cost. If it would be like in Germany, I would go to the end of the Switzerland without problem, because I know how wonderful it is. This one, I don't know. They're hooked. No, I think they're just policemen. If they need to, just show them tickets. You cry then, okay? You cry. They don't know how to cope with this bloody machine. Well, I think we have tickets, don't you? But how we stamp it and when we stamp it, I think I take 24 hours.
No, it was an hour.
I said 24 hours I took my ticket. And somebody help us. I don't know how to use blinking machine. Oh no. King will be in town. There is policeman on here. Shining.
Airport, airport, chosen to be the best airport of Europe, and from all over the world, after Seoul, Hong Kong, and Singapore, Zurich is right there. So there were 39 criteria they looked at, such as transfer, waiting time, punctuality, friendliness of the employees, cleanliness, and so on. So we're rather proud of our airport. We used to be proud of yet something else. You know, we used to have our own national carrier. Maybe those of you being a bit older, they still remember there was an airline called Swiss Air. Well, Swiss Air was the price pension money, and so it made us very upset to hear that the managers who have created some of that mess had been given additional money to say goodbye. In the meantime, there is Swiss Airlines, but most of it belongs to Lufthansa, so to Germany. And you know what? Life goes on, and we've learned to live without our own national carrier, right? So now Feliciana will take a pathway a bit away from the airport, so you will see what this part in this mountains. You know, 13% of the Alps are in Switzerland, so we've got many mountains. Around 100 of them are close to or above 4,000 meters of height, and the highest mountain of Switzerland is called Dufourspitze, as a part of Monte Rosa, with 4,600 being farmers. Nowadays it's less than 4%, and it's kind of a worrisome. The large industries are vital to our economy. I'm thinking of the chemical industry with large companies such as Roche or Novartis, for example. We are also very big in electro and machine industry, supposedly number 8 in the world, with large companies such as ABB or Sulzer, for example. Then we produce about 25 million watches per year. So maybe you'd like to get yourself water. We're called the water castle of Europe. But also human capital. People are our most important raw material, if you will. And therefore, we're locked into servicing businesses. And of course, the banking and insurance business are a part of these servicing businesses. Banking business makes about 4 to 6% of our national economy. So you can see these villages in springtime, they look lovely. We are so glad finally flowers and leaves are coming out again in those tender colors. If you'd like to see some mountains while you're here, we've got some wonderful tours to offer you. We have in our brochure an offer of a tour going to Lucerne in combination with Mount Pilatus, 2,000 meters high, or Lucerne in combination with Mount Titlis, where you'll be on 3,000 meters and you'll be able to walk on a glacier and do all kind of fun things in the snow. We've also got a fantastic tour going to the top of Europe, as we call it, which is a mountain 3,454 2 to 400 years old, very typical of this area. Now you will see, if you travel further into Switzerland, depending on the region, houses will vary greatly. Because traveling through Switzerland is very exciting, not only thanks to its varied countryside, but also there is different languages in our country, different traditions. There are different climates, all the way from a kind of Mediterranean climate almost in southern Switzerland, where people speak Italian, all the way to polar climate, if you will, up in the highest mountains. And as I said, the style of old farmhouses, but also of old towns, varies a lot. Because in the past, different regions were almost like different little countries, and so 4 national languages here, and as a matter of fact, about 66% of our population speak what is called Swiss. In fact, the brown that you see there is the brand most popular in Switzerland. You will also see a lot of black cows, or white and brown spotted ones, or black and white spotted ones. They've got one thing in common. Oftentimes, in summer, they're taken up to alp pastures. They get to munch on good mountain herbs, and then they deliver us with wonderful milk, with which we produce fantastic cheese and chocolate, okay? So back to our languages. So here we speak Swiss German. And as a matter of fact, over 66% of Switzerland, where people speak Swiss German, there is a different dialect. And sometimes I even have to point my ears in order to understand some of the expressions of other Swiss fellow beings. That's how much they can vary. Now, Swiss German dialects are old Alemannic dialects that were brought to us as of the 4th century onward with the so-called Alemanni and the Franks, the later Germans, if you will. So our German has developed quite differently from the High German spoken in Germany. So Southern Germans would also understand this very well, because they themselves speak old Alemannic dialects at home. However, they're for example, where famous chefs at ski resort St. Moritz is at, that's where people would also speak Romansh. Off to the left, a lovely yellow field. That is what's called raps. With that, people make lovely canola oil. And in a little while, there will be lots of these yellow fields, and it's going to be a beautiful sight. So as we drive on, well, CH stands for Confederatio Helvetica y Helvetic Confederation. And in order for you to understand, I'll give you a short history lesson. I'll take you right back to the 13th century. At that time, there was no Switzerland as there is today. There were all these different regions, either occupied by local aristocrats or by kings, or they were property by monasteries, or they were property of monasteries and convents. Well, in central Switzerland, some of the regions indeed were occupied by a king called the Habsburgs. And the Habsburgs, they were originally from Switzerland, but later on they were the emperors all the way from Holland across Germany down to Austria, Hungary, and Spain, and even its colonies such as Mexico. So that Habsburg king occupied land in central Switzerland in the 13th century. Local population, they were very poor farmers, were very unhappy about it. And they had to pay high taxes to this Habsburg king. So it's within 35 minutes reach from Zurich by city train, and it's more so an industrial town, originally with large companies such as called Sulzer. And Winterthur is also well known for its like Germany. Wow. And in fact, on the way back, we'll even pass through a little part of Germany. So we'll be able to cross off that country of you, Liz, too, eh? I'm just kidding. So Schaffhausen is the canton, percentage-wise, that still has got most forest. And its highest elevation, a mountain called Ramsen, is only about 900 meters high. So now we're headed towards the Rhine River, and the Rhine
River.
Re, which means flow. It's an Indo-Germanic verb. Re means to flow. And the Rhine River originates in Switzerland, goes all the way through Germany, parts of Holland, into the North Sea, and it is the most used water street of Europe with a length of 1,320 kilometers, that's 772 miles. So of these 1,320 kilometers, almost 900 kilometers can be used for ship traffic. And the Rhine River also builds part of the borders to Austria, Liechtenstein, and Germany. Ever since the 1960s, we've done a lot of cleanup with our rivers and lakes, and all the 63 different kinds of fish and so much glacier water was coming down that there was an average flow of 650 cubic meters per second. Now the average flow of 373 cubic meters per second, it doesn't tell us much, does it? Imagine, it is that much water coming down per second that a family of 4 people could take a full bath each every day for 2 years. That's how much water in beautiful wine country. You see the vineyards here, and indeed in this area there's a lot of wine being produced, mainly red wine, and a lot of Swiss love to have a lot of red and white wine. So much so that we hardly export our wine at all, plus we import a lot from other countries in addition. If you'd like to taste some wine while you're in Switzerland, you will soon discover that ordering by the bottle on the menu, it could become a rather expensive affair. So why don't you do it as we? So for your information, Markthaler has a population of approximately 2,000 people. It was first mentioned in 858, and before that, even the Romans and the Alemanni used to live here. So quite a few houses from the 16th to 18th century we're about to see. They gained a lot of wealth and respect for their wine production too.
400 years old houses here. 400 лет домиком здесь, какой-то деревенька.
You can see a church there. It has a flag on top of the tower. Now, whenever a church has a flag or a rooster on top, it's a Protestant church. With a cross, it would have been a Catholic church. You know, here we are in Protestant country. In fact, in Switzerland, we had a Reformation in the 16th century by a reformer by the name of Ulrich Zwingli, and in the French part of Switzerland, there was a man by the name of Johannes Calvin. So Zurich, but also Schaffhausen, Bern, Basel, Lausanne, Geneva, they turned to be Protestant in the 16th century, whereas Central Switzerland, for example, remains Catholic, and predominantly it's still that way today. So get ready for some pictures now. Now we are in Markthaler. Look at these lovely gardens with flowers ahead of us. And some beautiful half-timbered houses here.
All wooden houses.
We're talking about religion. Over 20% of our population nowadays no longer belong to any religious institution, following their own spiritual path, I guess. There's about 20,000 Jewish people living in Switzerland. In comparison, about 400,000 Muslims living in Switzerland, mainly from ex-Yugoslavian countries such as Serbia, Kosovo, Albania, and so on. More as we go on.
Юлечка, film a little bit. I just get the camera out. I don't I can't film you.
Isn't it gorgeous, this village, eh? Now look at this gorgeous house ahead. On your left-hand side.
Samin, look. Yes, nice. Sнимай.
It says 1715 on it, eh? Gorgeous, eh? It's the center of the community here. It's a pearl of the 16th, 17th century as well, full of half-timbered houses and painted facades and oriels. And in a moment I'll show you some pictures of it. I'll also show you a picture of the Muno Tower and the Rhine Fall, so you can really look forward to what you're going to see. If you'd be so kind to pass these pictures around. And look at these lovely villages in this area. Ahead of us there is a very famous village, famous for its red wine. There's actually two villages here by the name of Hoogieven and Benken, and so accordingly the wines being sold are called Hoogievener and Benkener. Very popular wines. In our restaurant you may find them, huh? Now let me tell you what will happen when we get to the Rhine Fall. Sportive version, you could walk along the side path to the Rhine Fall. There is a pathway along the river Rhine, and you'll come to a platform eventually. It'll take about 15 minutes one way, so please keep this in mind as you be walking there, as our time is a bit limited. So 30 minutes both ways, huh? And then you would see the Rhine Falls from its side. And 4 francs.
Yeah, we'll go on the boat.
Pass through the bus later on, and I'll ask you if you'd like to do so. And if you'd have the money ready for me, hopefully in Swiss francs and in cash, in small cash, I would certainly appreciate it. You will also see a castle across from the river Rhine. That one was first mentioned in 858. And imagine in there is a youth hostel now, a beautifully renovated youth hostel, and it's on the side of the canton of Zurich, so we won't get a chance to go over there, huh? So, if you'd like to take the boat to the Middle Rock, probably today the boats are only running at 11 o'clock. So, I ask you to be down at the boat at 11 o'clock. In the meantime, you could look at the souvenir shop, maybe you'd like to grab a little bite, take some pictures, but I still suggest that we all walk down to the Rhine River, and I'll show you where the boat will take off. And as soon as I can, I will get tickets for all of us, for those of you who have seen me already, okay? Look, there's another beautiful house sign on the right-hand side. Other flags as we'll drive through, possibly also the flag of the canton of Schaffhausen, which is in yellow with an animal. Why is it called the Black Forest? Well, it's that a tight forest that they called it the Black Forest. and it's a lovely area to go spend a vacation. There is lots of wellness hotels, lots of possibilities to go hike in there. So, and soon we'll be seeing the old town of Schaffhausen on our left with its landmark, the Munot Tower I told you about, okay? So there will be one particular curve where it's particularly good to take a picture, and Feliciano will drive a little slower for you, so you'll be able to take a picture from the bus. So on the right-hand side when you will be able to take another picture, okay?
Так, потому что Black Forest потом проезжает.
So in a moment we are going to cross the Rhine River, and on your right hand side you will have another chance to take a picture of beautiful Munot Tower. Now these funny looking trees here on the right hand side, those are going to be chestnut trees. They're always trimmed in fall, and then they turn out to be beautiful trees in spring all the way to fall. Here comes the Rhine River, and here we are in Schaffhausen.
Oh. Oh, look at this, Lily, look. Lily, look how pretty it is.
So now I'll walk through the bus and find out if you'd like to join me on the boat to get to the middle rock of the Rhine Falls. Remember, it's 8 francs per person and 4 francs for a child. So please let me know.
Yes. Lily, look at it close to the window.
So if you also be so kind, could I have your attention for a moment? If you'd also be so kind to look at your watches. Mine's which watch? Now tell me. It's just about 10:30 at 11:40. At 11:40, I would like for you to come back to the bus, so we can drive off on time, because we'll have a city tour in this bus later on, so we cannot leave. So I would appreciate it.
This is it. We can take it. Вот он, waterfall. Lily, waterfall, look. Так, вот мы сейчас туда едем. Да, вот эти вот какой waterfall. Lily.
So, you know, Feliciano is going to, would you please listen in for a moment? Feliciano is going to stop here with us.
Ah.
Okay, so this is where we need to come back again. And since we took a little longer, let me give you 5 more minutes. So let's meet here at 11.
Look at the window.
Then you can take some pictures, maybe have a little bite or go look at the new shopping.
Так, отсюда уезжаем. Так, а сейчас поедем через Германию. Мы пока еще в Швейцарии. Уже почти на границу с Германией. Мы сейчас поедем через Германию немного. View here.
So would you be so kind to fasten your seatbelts again? Thank you.
Lovely.
pinka prinsesa. Si Ekla sono ave. Apa io Ekla? Gonave. No, David found a boy here. And he
I'm at the customs station, and for about 10 minutes we'll pass through Germany actually. So that part of Germany is called Jestetten, and it's a part of a province called Baden-Württemberg. It's only 6 kilometers away from the Rhine Falls. And it has been a bit of a peculiar piece of land because actually Jestetten or Lot, custom-free zone for a long period of time. And of course the Swiss and the Germans, they really appreciated it, and the smugglers take few. So for a long time there has been a lot of smuggling taking place here because actually by making it a custom-free zone there was only 6 more kilometers that Germany had to watch the borders of. So until 1935 it was actually a custom-free zone, but then of course with World War II and all, that has been redone. So in a moment we'll be in Germany and you'll get an impression of yet another country. Now believe it or not, but there's quite a lot of differences from Switzerland as we enter, and I wonder if you can see some of those differences. I'll help you along the way, okay? Quite a few things that work differently already, and that's what's so charming. From Zurich you can be quickly in Austria, in Liechtenstein, in Germany, in France, within 1 hour. And it takes 3 hours to get to the Italian border. So you would probably think that we are abroad all the time, but you know what? We don't even do that so often because as we are a small country, everything beyond 2 hours for us is far away. Huh? So we don't go abroad all that often. But a lot of people do over the weekend to go shopping because indeed in Germany a lot of things are cheaper. Except for the gasoline. People from Germany love to go come buy gasoline in Switzerland. That one is still cheaper than over here. So maybe you already saw that there's different speed limits here. Now here on the freeways you can speed up to 130 kilometers per hour rather than 120 as in Switzerland. And you know what? In parts of Germany there is no speed limit whatsoever. So all those of you that have sports cars, it's a good thing to go to Germany because there you can turn it up to 240 kilometers per hour.
Oh, God.
Since we can't do that in Switzerland, that's why I don't have any Ferrari, okay? You know, usually when you cross the border in Europe, things work very differently already. We love to do that, as a matter of fact. For example, if you go over to France, you know, people speak French, the food is different, and if there is a spot on a tablecloth, we think of it as romantic. If it were that way in Switzerland, we think of it as dirty, but so this is, you know, you become more open-minded towards others. I do have to show the differences, really. Believe it or not, here people already speak a different dialect from what they would in the town of Schaffhausen. And look here, yellow signs. So yellow signs belong to Germany. They are not Swiss, definitely. And now we're going to come through a small village, and I want you to look at the homes. A lot of the homes, especially older ones, they definitely are German. They cannot be Swiss because, again, here they've got a different house style, as in so many places in Switzerland. So here people speak differently, the food is already quite different, different kind of supermarkets. You pay with euros. House styles are different, so that's what makes it so fascinating to cross the border. If you'd like to be a little more in Germany just for the day, there's a lovely trip from Zurich to Konstanz. Konstanz is already German. If you take the train, it will take you 1 hour. It's a lovely town. Now look at this beautiful old house ahead of us. Now that is definitely a German style. That could not be in Switzerland. That would You know, the other day I was doing a tour through the Rheinfall, and I was taking people through Germany, and I was explaining to them that it not only feels different and it looks different, it also smells differently. And sure enough, the minute we crossed the border, there was a farmer putting out cow dung, and everybody had to laugh. You know, it really smelled differently as we got back to Switzerland again. So if you'd like to do a short visit to Germany again and visit Konstanz, Konstanz is a town at the Lake Bodensee, or Lake Konstanz as you would say. That lake belongs to, or is divided through 3 countries. So there are 3 countries bordering it: Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. So it's a very large lake. It's the 2nd largest one for Switzerland, but since we only share it with others, there is lakes in Switzerland, you know, that are entirely Swiss, that are larger. So here too, people would speak an old Alemannic dialect at home, but their official language is High German when they do business, whereas in Switzerland, businessmen and women speak to each other in Swiss German, even making business, so it has nothing to do with social standards, speaking in Swiss German. Have a more simple grammar than in High German. We also share a lot of expressions with the Germans, but we may pronounce them differently. And then in each canton we do have expressions that do not at all exist in German, and of course vice versa. So let me give you a few words so you can brag with them today as you go shop in Zurich. How is that? Yeah. Okay. So first I'll teach you the German word and then the Swiss German word, okay? So you hear the difference. Let's say you'd like to say hello in German. Now Germans would say Guten Tag, which means good day, or they could say Grüß Gott, which means greet God. Now in Swiss German, I would simply say Grüezi. Try it. Grüezi. You have to roll the R. Huh? And Grüezi. Good students I've got here. So there's a less formal way. If you want to talk to friends and family, you could also say, just like the Americans say hi, we could say boy. You could also say salut from the French word salut. So the other languages sometimes influences with German, okay? So you could also say ciao, just like the Swiss Italians do, but that's for friends and family. Now, if you'd like to say goodbye in German, they would say Auf Wiedersehen. Now in Swiss German, I would say Auf Wiedersehen. Ah, quite different, eh? So if that's too hard for you, you may use the French word, because we include that in our Swiss German, and you could equally say adieu, go with God. Adieu. Adieu. Very good, very good. Less formal, you could say tschüss, just like the Germans do. You could say ciao, just like the Swiss Italians do. Okay? Sure. Now if you'd like to say thank you, in German thank you would be Dankeschön or simply Danke. Danke. Yeah. Now comes the Swiss German word. I would say danke. Danke. Oh, we've got some good students, but hey, if that's too rough for you, again, you may use the French expression, but with a little Swiss German accent, and you would say, merci.
Merci, not merci.
Mercy, it's merci. Very good. You're such good students that I'm going to teach you a fourth word. And if you want to enjoy Germany a little more, take another deep breath, because in a moment, we're going to go back to Switzerland. Did you like that excursion? Yes. Now you can cross Germany off your list, right? So,
Bye-bye,
anyway,
Germany.
I'll teach you a fourth word.
Bye-bye, Germany.
Now it's a word for kitchen cupboard. Now in German, the Germans would say Küchenschrank. Küchenschrank. Hard enough, eh? Küchenschrank. Right. Now in Swiss German, I want you to repeat that one. You have to take a deep breath for that. And here we go. Kuchehashli.
Oh.
Hey, I want to hear it. Kuchehashli.
So much hasty.
No, you have to do it roughly. Kuchehashli.
Oh, no.
Nice try. So, there are some very mean people who dare to say that Swiss German is not a language, that it's an illness of the throat. Huh? Do you see those horses up there? They talk in Swiss German again, huh? So, here we are in Switzerland again.
Baby horse.
No, lovely to speak Swedish.
From here. Well, in Switzerland there is no such a thing as the Swiss cheese, because indeed we produce up to 450 different types of cheeses here. So the one with the big holes that you may be familiar of is just one of many. Now here, that one is called Emmentaler, because it comes from a valley called Bello, Brienz, Tilsiter, and the cheese we eat the most is mozzarella. Now, of course, you may be interested in tasting our hot cheese specialty Switzerland is famous for. I'm thinking of fondue. Fondue, by the way, means melted. It's a French word meaning melted. The fondue is usually made by 3 different types of cheeses, melted in white wine and cherry brandy, spices and garlic. And then you get the long forks, and for example, you take a piece of bread and dip it in that cheese mixture. That's fondue. There's another specialty very popular made out of cheese. It's called a raclette. It's a different kind of cheese from a different region in Switzerland. It's grilled over a special grill, and then the melted part is grated over, for example, new potatoes, and you could serve it with pickled vegetables. So that's raclette. And of course, there's many, many different Swiss specialties depending on the region. And if you'd like to get some cheese fondue or raclette, you may visit a cheese specialty restaurant. You won't find those specialties everywhere, because indeed they need extra strong air conditioner because of the heavy cheese smell, Otherwise their place would smell like 100 pairs of dirty socks in the evening, huh? Yeah. So, and if some of you would not want to have cheese that night, then they will carry other specialties without cheese in such restaurants as well. After all, we do have a French and Italian-speaking part of Switzerland. For example, what you would consider typically Northern Italian, you could also call typically Southern Swiss. I'm thinking of specialties such as polenta, a dish made out of corn, or risotto, a dish made out of rice, for example. Look to the left, some tulip fields. And you can see there is a sign. It says you can cut them by yourself and just leave the appropriate money. So it works on a trust basis. You leave the money asked for. A lot of farmers have stores like that. You can just walk in, serve yourself, and they trust that you won't cheat and that you give them the appropriate money. Mind you, it doesn't always work. I always go to a farmer's shop And he told me that one day he discovered that his little shop was emptied out. And one day he saw a little old lady going in there with a backpack, and she would just serve herself without paying. so that's why he had to install video cameras. Those kind of things are unfortunate when they happen. So here we are at the River Rhine again, which has very neat. It winds itself through the countryside. So here we're back at the Rhine River. And the village ahead of us is very beautiful, as it will be on the bridge. Please look back on your left-hand side, and you'll see how this old village here, called Eglisau, built like a fortification wall. All these villages along the Rhine here, they're famous for their fish specialties. Look to the left and backwards, you can see the fortification wall of the village of Eglisau. Lovely to sit down there at the river. So there's fish that you can have here out of our lakes and rivers, like perch, for example, or trout, and so on. And we maybe are biased, but I would dare to say that I think we've got the best chocolate in the world. So here we go. We've got some wonderful chocolate factories. One of them that is close to Zurich is called Litt and Sprüngli Chocolate Factory. We've got a tour that will show you the west end of town, and it's connected then with the visit in the chocolate factory, not in the production, mind you, because of hygiene reasons they won't let you through the production anymore. But you can visit their outlet store. And especially now it's interesting because they've got 2 stores open exceptionally as we're approaching Easter. And you get chocolate there with 10 or 20% discount. There is excellent chocolate. It's called Migros, M-I-G-R-O-S. That supermarket gets its chocolate out of a different chocolate factory called Fry. And it's just as good as the other one. So those are the kinds of chocolates you can keep for months and months.
Teufel, T-E-U-S-C-H-E-R. That one is world famous for its chocolate truffles, above all, champagne truffles. But believe me, better chocolate cannot get, okay? So now you know. You see here to the right, there is a sign saying Bad Zurzach. Bad is the name for bath in German. And here, as well as in other places in Switzerland, we've got a lot of thermic baths, natural springs. And already in the Middle Ages and forward, people discovered that thermic springs with special minerals in them can have a very healing effect. So up to today, people go there for 1 to 3 weeks to take baths every day and maybe get massages and other nice holistic treatments, and they hope to be more in balance again health-wise.
Their own departments as such, for example, the Department of Health, the Department of Economy, the Department of the Exterior, and so on. And then our Parliament will vote one of those 7 people into office for 1 year as our representative president. So the presidency is merely a representative function for 1 year. So and they don't have a garden. Now you can rent a small lot of garden in a place like this for about 100 francs a year, and you can tend your own garden, and people will take great pride to build a little cottage on top where they keep their garden and kitchen tools, and they'll have grill parties over the weekend. So that's what those are. That's a concept that comes from Germany, but you could also see it in Austria, even in Holland. Now if you look very closely, straight ahead in the back, we can see some of our beautiful Alp mountains. Mind you, they're very much covered by not clouds, but haze. But we can see we are very close to the airport. This place here is called Kloten. And you know, in the old days, the airport was called Zurich Kloten Airport. But I guess they changed the name because the Dutch claims that this is Kloten is a verb for going to the bathroom. So for an international airport, it didn't sound too fancy. So now it's called Zurich International Airport. But the village didn't change its name. After all, that's what it's called. So we'll just do another short technical stop at the airport because we've got some extra guests joining us for a city tour thereafter. Now some of you asked me how that would work with the city tours. In fact, some of you do have a reservation already. Now once we arrive at the bus terminal, one of you please go out with your ticket and you do the check-in without.
Como siempre, por favor, no fumen, no comen y no duermen. Muchas gracias, porque han pagado. Hay un cambio en nuestro itinerario porque el teleférico está bajo edición, entonces iremos con tren de manera al otro lado del valle del río Limache. So, grüezi, guten Tag. Kann ja nicht sagen, meine Damen und Herren, mein Herr, wir kommen zu unserer Stadtfahrt mit Umgebung. Fahrersname Feliciano, meine ist Rolf. Kleine Änderung unseres Programms, die uns abgezogen wurde, die Seilbahn. And that is the busiest train station in Switzerland, one of the busiest ones in the whole of Europe. And on the left you have the Swiss National Museum, where all the treasures of Swiss history are kept. Adelante, la estación central, la más grande de toda Suiza, la más regional también, con 3.000 trenes diarios. Y el tren del gobierno nacional suizo, donde los tesoros de la historia suiza, rechts der verbote HB, der Haarbahnhof, der größte Bahnhof der Schweiz und einer der belegtesten in ganz Europa. 2000 years ago, a toll station that controlled the traffic of the river Limmat. The toll station was called Turicum. Over the years it became Zurich, and finally it's Zurich. The altitude of Zurich is 410 meters, and Zurich is part of Switzerland since 1351. And Switzerland exists since 1291. So 723 years of Switzerland and still in a pretty good state. Zurich es la ciudad más grande de toda Suiza, 400.000 habitantes. Es el centro financiero y comercial, pero no es la capital, la capital es Bern. La altitud sobre el nivel del mar, 400. Also Zürich, 400.000 Einwohner, damit mit Abstand die größte Stadt der Schweiz, gefolgt von Genf mit halb so vielen Einwohnern und dann Basel und Bern. Bern hat 130.000 Einwohner. 410 Meter über Meer, 90 Quadratkilometer Fläche. Römische Gründung. Vor 2000 Jahren gab es eine Zollstation, die der Verkehr auf der Limmat kontrolliert hat. Die ist Turicum. Über die Jahre wurde das aus Turicum Zurich und schließlich Zürich. Ist eben das Wirtschafts- und Finanzzentrum des Landes, aber nicht die Hauptstadt. Ahead of you, you see Iron Man. mightiest man in the middle of the 19th century. He industrialized the modern life of Switzerland. Switzerland would not be what it is today if we had not had him, Alfred Escher. Cuando el hombro de hierro, el hombre de hierro, delante de ustedes, komt een ijzeren man daar links, Alfred Escher. Él quería modernizaba e industrializaba la Suiza. Y la Suiza no sería lo que es si él no hubiera existido. Alfred Escher. Por ejemplo, construyó el túnel along the city much we had the third circle of city walls, and at the far end you had the sea, that's river number 2, that flows to Zurich. Por su derecha tenemos los ríos, el foso, de Zurich. Acá tuvimos el tercer círculo de las murallas que rodeaba Zurich, y el otro río se llama el Sil, viene del lago artificial, 40 kilómetros al sureste de Zurich. Den Stadtgraben, hier hatte man den dritten Ring der Stadtmauern, die Zürich umgaben. Sehr hübsche Fußgängerzone, wenn wir rechts runter el monte de la casa de Zurich, monte Hütling, 870 metros de altitud. Hinten in der Ferne haben wir den Hütteberg, 870 Meter. We had horses in our army up to the 1970s. On the right, Casino. Wenn Sie Ihr Geld loswerden wollen, das können Sie da rechts tun. Schwarz gesehen, das größte Casino der ganzen Schweiz. Besser, y cuando se máquinas para perder el dinero. What belongs to Zurich, like the lake, that is other trams. We've been having trams for 135 years. Other cities discontinued their trams in the 1950s. They said, it's an old-fashioned means of transport. We don't want them anymore. They did have to be installed. That is the was zu Zürich gehört, wie das See, das sind die Trams. Wir haben seit 135 Jahren Trams. Die ersten Trams waren fertige, gezogene Trams. Andere Städten haben die rausgerückt, die Gleise. That hill, that was part of the third circle city walls. Here, today we have the Botanical Garden, erected on the rubble of waste Bauwalk. Y an die Botanico pasamos. Und dort, wo jetzt heute der alte Botanikgarten liegt, auf dem Hügel, dort gab es dann ein Bollwerk, ausgeschleift worden. That is going to have 10,000 inhabitants less, because they are going to make their casino section shrink. What's the casino section? That is the section that produced nothing but fines and losses in the past 8 years. That is the investment banking. Por tomar el tierra, el banco más grande, la Suiza, el OES, 60.000 empleados. Schweiz, die UBS, 60.000 Angestellte, werden bald 10.000 weniger haben, weil die Casino-Abteilungen Zürichsee Flotte. Zürichsee, die Attraktion, in großen Buchstaben, die Attraktion in Zürich, das ist der See. Ich kann mir Zürich ohne See nicht vorstellen. Zürichsee ist 6 größter See, 40 Kilometer lang, 4 Kilometer breit, 140 Meter tief. Hat die Form einer Banane, gleich gekrümmt. Hace cruceros, 1 hora, 4 horas y media.
Не, лайк. Мы вчера были.
And here on the right, that white building, that's a Congress House. Behind me is a concert hall. El Congreso, por su mano derecha, y atrás la sala de concierto. These buildings, another one was coming into view, were built at the end of the 19th century for large families. First buildings in Zurich to have central heating and elevators. And large families long since had to move out because they could not afford the exorbitant rents anymore. Today they are doctors, spin doctors, lawyers, consultants, dentists. Yeah, they're the ones that can afford to pay the exploding rents. Las casas que vemos por mano derecha fueron dirigidas al final del siglo XIX por FIFA, you have heard of it, the football organization has headquarters in Zurich, is going to make a museum. Estamos en la plaza del Chino, acá una estación de trenes, de suburbios, y por su mano izquierda construyen un museo por la FIFA, la Organización Internacional de Fútbol, que tiene su sede principal en Zurich. Links befindet sich das FIFA-Museum, die haben ja ihren Hauptsitz hier in Zürich. Rechts Bahnhof Enge, Vorortsbahnhof, und den Tessinerplatz haben wir gleich hinter uns gelassen. Up on the right, beautifully situated, the Church of Enge, Protestant church. Look how beautifully situated. New Renaissance, based at the end of the 19th century. Guarda la iglesia, por su mano derecha, und eine schöne Kirche da rechts oben. La iglesia de Enge, una iglesia protestante, construida al final del siglo XIX, estilo nuevo Renacimiento. No Renaissance, Stil Ende 1900, protestantische Kirche Enge. In its midst of the villa, privately owned up to the 1940s, then the state bought it and made a museum out of it, the famous Wiesberg Museum. When it was in private possession in 1830s, for 2 years it was a refuge of Richard Wagner. He had to flee from the Victorian king. Das La Casa, hinter diesem Häusern da rechts, gibt es den größten Park, natürlich 7 Hektar groß. Al medio del parque hay una vía que era propiedad privada hasta 1942. He quedó allá por 2 años, 1856 a 58. Richard Wagner wollte ja 1849 vom sächsischen König fliehen, da war ein Antikapitalist, nicht ein Antimonarchist, sondern ein Antikapitalist, und kam nach Zürich, blieb 9 Jahre, und 2 Jahre hat er da in der Villa des damaligen Seinkönigs Wesendorf wohnen können, zusammen mit seiner Frau. In front of you, that's not a prison with the barred windows. Our prisons are not that posh. That's a Swiss Re insurance company, the second largest in the world. The company Reasseguro, Swiss Re. Da das Gebäude mit den vergebenen Fenstern ist also kein Gefängnis. Straight ahead, over the bridge, up on the other side, 1 hour's walk.
What's a lake? Lake.
Because behind us begins the state of Zurich, into the city begins the state of Zurich, and there up to 70% are in private possession. There they're being warned of biting dogs. Acá empieza un paseo muy lindo, todo recto, pasando el puente, subiendo al otro lado, 1 hora, vale la pena, y hay que aprovechar porque atrás de nosotros empieza el estado de Zurich, y en el estado de Zurich el 70% de las orillas están propiedad privada. Hier beginnt ein sehr hübscher Spaziergang, das gehört alles zum Standardprogramm. Sie gehen da nach vorn durch das Arboretum, ein Park mit Fläche Bahnbestand, über die Brücke auf der anderen Seite hoch. Eine Stunde lohnt sich und man sollte von gebrauchen.
Something more weird the story tell. Now first of all, what we found here, look clearly, look. So, how you doing the story tell? Oh God, mind you. So, that after what is it? All the time when you listen to stuff, you're fortunate.
And you have to...
Let's open this.
And now I'm going to wash my hands again.
Oh God! Look at that dog. I also remember.
How you dry your hands?
I think similar. I didn't look to the storage in Luxembourg. Where is it? Long time ago. It was very similar story. Some Russian guy was even writing about the story. How everything's mechanical here. Press this button, one button. But I hope it's no more low. Oh God, you can dry your eyes.
Yes.
Now this has been more awful in my life. Why is this?
The paintings, graphic arts, sculptures on the left. Por izquierda, el museo más grande, los 50 que tenemos, la sala de artes.
Oh, this huge instrument here, looks like we're in there.
Esculturas. Sala de arte. Links das Kunsthaus, das größte Museum, wir haben 50 Museen, das größte mit Abstand. Fokus auf Gemälde, Schweizer Maler, auch Munch, Munch ist sehr gut vertreten, dann auch Grafik. Rechts das berühmte Schauspielhaus. 5, das größte Sprechtheater, 5 Bühnen, 2 sind hier, 3 Kilometer von da. Schauspielhaus wurde berühmt in der Nazizeit, weil es war die einzige freie deutschsprachige Bühne in ganz Europa. Die deutschen Schauspieler kamen hierher, trieben über den Krieg, nach dem Krieg wurden sie also sogar Schweizer. Das ist nicht so einfach. Schauspieler became famous in the Nazi-time.
Мы едем в гору. Я дублирую теперь этой камерой. В гору на поезде. Здесь такая система, наверное, как в Норвегии, но не совсем. I don't even know where our guide is. Where we're going. I left my bag there. Там совершенно ужасный у нас этот гайд. Так, женщина хорошая была. И вторая сегодня, которая сегодня нас на водопад возила, тоже ничего. А этот какой-то берег немецкий. Гавкает что-то. Look like he doesn't care about us. Это мы в горах, да? Вот не очень высоко-то. Может, какая-то женитьба. Чего мы не поехали на этот дешевый сидетон? She's going to as well.
I think he's in the same tour as us.
No, well, no. It's cheaper tour. Him here, such a...
Die Nähe zu den Wintersportorten, 40 Minuten mit dem Zug, mit dem Bus und die Nähe zum See, unser großes Schwimmbad im Sommer und die Nähe zum Flughafen, nur 12 Kilometer. Sehr nah. On the left, you have the ice rink in winter, the biggest open ice rink in Europe. Open ice rink in Europe, in some of the open air countries. Por su mano izquierda, links, tenemos el campo para patinar. Es el más gran campo de patinar abierto. Y en ciudades en las primeras 10 del mundo, según la calidad de vida. Wenn es zur Lebensqualität kommt, die etwas jährlich anhand eines Kataloges von 38 Kriterien neu bewertet, macht die Agentur Mercer, wie Standard & Poor's, Moody's und Fitch. OECD, BSP, Fernseher und Left. No son favelas, sind also keine Barackensiedlungen für minder verwitzelte Einwohner, das ist Schwebegärten. It is for people that love to do gardening. And look at the other side, the headquarters of FIFA. And the World Football Organization. You see, it looks like a gymnasium. Parece un gimnasio por su mano derecha, pero es la sede principal de la FIFA, de la Organización Mundial de Fútbol. Acá ist la sede principal. Rechts FIFA, das sieht aus wie eine Sporthalle, ist aber nicht. 8 teures Gebäude, 22 Millionen gekostet, die älteste
Gym.
It cost 220 million to build it. It doesn't look like it. Half of the building is not visible, it's underneath. They have an all-out.
Look at the football ground, Lily. Look. Look at this in the window.
Only the best is good enough for the uncranking of the fever, and that is Joseph Blatter.
Oh, Plan 6. This is where the zoo is.
For a
Where the zoo, Lily?
Yeah. It's called a non-profit organization. They call themselves
After
non-profit.
allotment.
Because when they call themselves non-profitable, then they hardly pay any taxes. Se llama la FIFA una organización non profitable. Acá estamos en Beverly Hills de Zurich, en el distrito número 7 de 12. Hier im Kreis Nummer 7 von 12. Und das gilt jetzt als beste Wohngegend von Zurich. What you won't see here are villas that look like Greek temples with columns, pure kitsch, shoddy, or villas that look like fortresses, high walls, en la mesa del dinero. Luego, hay que ser capaz de explicar de dónde viene el dinero. No tiene que ser correcto, pero tiene que tener una explicación lista. Y luego, no puede ser pobre hoy y rico mañana. Eso sería muy sospechoso. Ich werde das später erklären. Look here, the White House. It's the no president living here. It's a beauty clinic. Una clínica de belleza. La Casa Blanca. Weiße Haus. Kein Präsident hier. Und eine Schönheitsklinik. We have 38 beauty clinics in Zurich, 400,000 inhabitants. That means for 10,000 inhabitants we have a beauty clinic. They never had a crisis because they have a new clientele. New clientele, women below 30 and men. 15% of the clients in the beauty clinic today are male. This clinic they specialize on or against obesity, sexual fat.
Ahora, Fofetito Clinic.
Tenemos 38 clínicas de belleza. 38, muchísimo. Entonces, por 10.000 habitantes tenemos una clínica de belleza. No somos tan feos, ¿no? No, muchas gracias. So, 38 clínicas de belleza. Su especialidad de la clínica que vimos es obesidad. Demasiada grasa, aspiración de grasa es su especialidad. Nunca conocieron crisis, porque tienen nuevos clientes. ¿Cuáles son los nuevos clientes? Son mujeres bajo 30 años de edad y hombres. 15% de los clientes de la clínica de belleza son hombres. 88 Schönheitskliniken, 10.000 Einwohner Schönheitsklinik. Ich frage mich oft, sind wir so hässlich, dass wir so viele Schönheitskliniken brauchen? Was meinen Sie? Diese ist spezialisiert auf Fettabsaugung, das hat niemand bis jetzt. Und Botox wird natürlich in allen Kliniken gespritzt. Die haben nie eine Krise, weil eben neues Kundensegment, die neuen Kundensegmente sind Frauen unter 30, das gab es vor 20 Jahren noch nicht, dass eine 25-Jährige schon zum Schönheitschirurgen ging, und Männer. 15% der Kunden sind Männer. Ja, was ich vorher noch sagen wollte, eben, es gibt einen ungeschriebenen Kodex in der Schweiz, wenn man Geld hat. Diskretion ist alles. Diskretion zu praktizieren, sollte man mit seinem Geld nicht prahlen. Sie werden also in der ganzen Schweiz, wenn Sie keine Villen sehen, die aussehen wie griechische Tempel mit Säulen, wie ich das am Anfang gesehen habe, oder die aussehen wie Festungen, hohe Mauern mit Stadtwerken drauf. Du sollst mit deinem Geld nicht prahlen. Erstes Gebot, zweites Gebot, du sollst in der Lage sein, erklären zu können, woher das viele Geld kommt. Muss ja nicht stimmen, aber eine Erklärung sollte man parat haben. Und dann ein weiterer Grund ist das Klinik. Estamos acá en el hospital universitario, por su mano derecha, la clínica dental por su mano izquierda, la clínica de reumatología por su mano derecha. Das Universitätsspital, das größte der ganzen Schweiz, 200 Patienten, 6.200 Angestellte, im Pavillon-Stil erbaut. Die Rheumaklinik, Dermatologie haben wir gesehen, die Zahnklinik im Wald. 10.000 200 empleados y 200.000 pacientes anuales. 200,000 patients and 2,000 staff in the biggest hospital of Switzerland. He became famous because of heart surgery. And ahead of you, you have the University of Zurich. 96 are women, 56% are women, some faculties, and opened in 1833. This is a state-run university. 10 universities we have all over the country. 10 universidades, la más grande, próxima a la guerra, es una institución estatal, entonces Zurich se encarga desde la universidad. 26.000 estudiantes, 56% son mujeres, 7 facultades abiertas en 1833. Die größte Universität ist eben passiert, 10 Universitäten, es ist eine kantonale Institution, 26.000 Studierende, dann 7 Fakultäten, 56% der Studierenden sind Frauen. And another university you have here on the left, it's not the same state-run university, this is a federal institution, and this is, as per the Shanghai ranking, the best university of the European continent. The best in Europe is Oxford and Cambridge, but Oxford and Cambridge are on an island. The best one on the European continent is the Federal Institute of Technology, in German, Eidgenössische Technische Hochschule, ETH. More than half of the Nobel Prize winners this country produced were either studying or teaching at the Federal Institute of Technology. They are on the left. Otra universidad, por su manera, no es la misma que vimos, es una institución federal. Entonces, Berna, la capital, se encarga de ahora acá. Die ETH, die Eidgenössische Hochschule, ist eine eidgenössische Institution, wie der Name sagt, das der Kanton Zürich nichts zu sagen, steht einfach hier. Working engagement la radiografía. Él estudiaba también acá. Look, beautiful view, buena vista, el escenario más alto, the highest people with the green roof, der hübsche Sicht, da mit dem grünen Turm, also der ist 97 Meter hoch. We have all in all, we have 75 churches, 48 Protestants and 27 Catholics, for the majority of Catholics. That doesn't correspond. So the explanation is simple. Up to 1950 from Reformation, up to 1950 Zurich was a staunch Protestant fortress. And then started immigration. First came the Italians, then the Spaniards, then the Portuguese. They still come. And that made the majority to switch. So we have the funny combination having more Catholic churches, more Protestant churches for the majority of Catholics. And if you had the town map of 1800, you'd quickly realize that nothing has changed since 1800. Except one little detail. The detail is, after 1800, each house had a name. And then came Napoleon, the last one to come to this country without asking was not Hitler. The last one to come to this country was Napoleon, without asking. And Napoleon introduced the system of numbering and not naming the houses. This is the only difference. But the names of the streets have remained the same, and the course of the road has remained the same.
Das ist noch laut. Lily of the Valley. Yeah, the already flowers coming up. Ready, but stop, ready.
House Numeril. Then the antagonism between town and country, and once the walls fail, the antagonism slowly disappears. And the cinema in 1970. La seguimos mucho hoy.
Look at the fountain.
Luterno hoy hizo esa falta, pero el espíritu del siglo XIX era diferente. Y Napoleón vino En todo caso, es tanto que tuvimos 3 círculos de murallas. El los Imadía, en 1800, en tanto que tuvimos murallas. Luego aquí Kona, the pharmacy, was once a lovely Viennese cafe, and we made it shrink to a third of its original size. It was a meeting point, the masterminds in music and politics and literature. Here one could meet Lenin, one could meet Kokoschka, Dürrenmatt, Frisch, Franz Lehar, mucho entonces. Y la regresamos la tercera parte porque tuvieron un problema de drogas. Entonces se ha dicho, ok, la regresemos a la tercera parte. Das Café rechts war Odeon, war mal das schönste Wiener Café, das wir hatten. Hohe Fenster, viel Messing, mit Kronleuchtern, feinen Stockwerken. Hier war Treffpunkt der ganz Größen in Literatur, Politik, Musik. Franz Lehar war da, Lenin war da, Dürrenmatt, Frisch, Kokoschka, Furtwängler, alle haben sich da getroffen. Da hat man das Kaffee gesund, geschrumpft, sozusagen. Look at the Iron Man here on the left. Look at the yellow, look at the nice of the man, links. That's our reformer, the reformer of the Catholic Church. Zwingli, what Luther did in Germany, Zwingli did in Zurich to reform the Catholic Church. Lo que hizo Luther, el reformador alemán, en Alemania, en 1717, Zwingli lo hizo acá, en la parte alemana de la Suiza, 2 años más tarde. Zwingli que reformaba Zwingli und dasselbe gemacht wie Luther in Deutschland. 2 Jahre später wurde reformierte Kirche. We stop here. Ausflug zum Zürichsee. Wir wissen rein.
Так, you want your game? Okay.
Long time my graph. Same as my phone, long time my graph.
So we go now along Lake Zurich, along the Gold Coast. Why Gold Coast? Because it's sunlit, 2 hours more sun on this side than on the other side. Okay, 2 hours. And all the rich in the west is lit at the Gold Coast. And then at Thailand, we take the ferry, 10-hour crossing to the other side of the Silver Coast. Microphone. Oh, sorry. Along the Gold Coast, why Gold Coast? Because Gold Coast, all the rich in the West Sea live here. 2 hours more sun, that's another reason why it's called Gold Coast. And in Milan, we take the ferry 10 minutes to the other side, Silver Coast, and come back to Zurich. Seguimos ahora la cosa dorada.
Chocolate Factory, I think it's Chocolate Factory.
Soleada. Tienen 2 horas diarias más sol. Y los ricos y los bellos vienen a la Costa Dorada, lógicamente, donde hay sol. Luego tomamos el ferry, cruzamos el lago, 10 minutos y bajamos al otro lado, a Zurich. Wir fahren jetzt also in der Goldküste entlang. Goldküste, weil die Sonne beschienen, 2 Stunden pro Tag mehr Sonne, bis Meilen. Goldküste heißt ja nicht nur, weil sie sonnenbeschienen ist, sondern weil die Hübschen und die Reichen, die wohnen hier an der Goldküste. Das war schon immer so vor 500 Jahren. Haben die besten Bauernhäuser waren hier an der Goldküste. 10 Minuten Überfahrt und dann entlang der Silberküste zurück nach Zürich. On the right, one of the public spots, por su mano derecha, un baño público. ponete para el público en toda la ciudad. Entonces, por 10 millones hace parte de la educación. Es obligatorio de participar en lecciones de natación. Hasta la edad de 12 años, todos los niños tienen que ser capaces de nadar. One of the public bars, another one here, direction 1 o'clock, 40 public bars. 17 are along the lakeshore or along the two rivers. And the swimming lessons are obligatory here after the age of 12. Every child should be able to swim. And there is no dispensation, not for religious reasons, only for
Это сам Маван, самый
medical
известный.
reasons. At the age of 12, every child should be able to swim. 40 öffentliche Bäder, 17 entlang von Seen und entlang von Flüssen, 17, 29 in den Bezirken, das sind dann hauptsächlich gedeckte. Es gibt keine Dispensation, auch nicht für gerade nicht für religiöse Gründe. So here we have the China Garden on the right,
China Garden?
the Chino, the Asian Garden here, rechten Seite.
Oh, China, look, look, it's China.
That's a gift from our sister city,
Oh, that's beautiful.
Kunming in southern China.
Chinatown.
We installed them a sewage plant, and in return they gave us a China Garden.
I want to go here. We should go in China Garden. It's beautiful here.
Este jardín chino es un regalito de nuestra ciudad hermana, Kunming, en el sur de China. Nosotros les instalamos una depuradora y al revés nos dieron un templo chino.
Китайский домик.
Ein Geschenk unserer Schwester Stadt Kunming im Süden von China. Wir haben hier eine Kläranlage installiert. That's probably the most romantic one. Because from here you see the ants on this day. Un otro baño público, el más romántico porque se ve lo antes y el más divertido al revés. Nuestro romantischste Stadtland haben Sie übrigens auch Freilichtaufführung im Kino. Hier links haben Sie die Berge und gegenüber den Uetliberg. In this country, there is we have three kinds of income taxes. We have the communal income taxes, we have the federal income taxes, and the stateful income taxes. And all are very low. Well, Switzerland is known for its low taxes. There is a competition about communes. The 2008 flight attendant and Swiss gardener, they earn between 3,500 and 4,200 monthly. Flight attendant sobrano de 10 multimillonarios está produciendo más dinero por la comuna que el 20% que está producida de 1,000 ganadores que ganan el salario promedio. El salario medio en ese país es 65,000 anual, bruto, 65,000 anual es el salario. Mehr Geld generieren, in einer Autogemeinde, die einen Steuersatz von 20% hat, generieren kann von 1.000 Durchschnittsverdienst. Durchschnittsverdienst in diesem Land 65.000. Die Gärtner, die Flugbegleiterinnen bei Swiss, Anpasslohn bei Swiss 3.300 Franken. Die einzige Überlebenschance für eine Flugbegleiterin in den ersten beiden Jahren ist, sich mit einem Piloten zu verheiraten. 30 Kilometer von da am Ende des Sees gibt es eine Gemeinde, das ist Wollerau, auf der anderen Seite. Die hat einen extrem niedrigen Steuersatz. Raten Sie, wer dort ist? Der Roger Federer, immerhin 60 Millionen generiert er im Jahr mit seinen 15 PR-Mandaten. war ein bisschen zu extrem. Wenn die Jungsozialisten mit einer Initiative 1:20 gekommen wären, wäre es wahrscheinlich durchgekommen, aber nicht mit 1:12. War ein bisschen zu radikal. Yeah, Roger Federer, to come back to Roger Federer, I think he's one of the best ambassadors we have of this country. Good looking, very gentleman-like appearance, behavior, his style of tennis is superb, his consistency, he never loses calm, he speaks 5 languages, his mother, by the way, is South African. He is going to be father for the 3rd time by next July. One of the best ambassadors we have ever had. Roger Federer, uno de los mejores embajadores que tuvimos. Simpático, inteligente, tiene un estilo de tenis, has little rules. Guarda acá, las murallas muy bajas, gucken Sie diese kleine Beugen und rahmen Sie mehr nach Hintergrund. La villa de Tina Turner. The villa of Tina Turner, she lives there, behind the trees. Tina Turner vive atrás de los árboles, hinter den Bäumen. Zur Miete wohlbestanden in einer 14-Zimmer-Wohnung. Tolle Lage, direkt am See, das ist das Beste. Natürlich wäre das nicht möglich, hier so möglich, weil wir in Kanton sind, die Küstenach. Tina Turner has an absolute bound. She is a tenant here. She's not the owner of that villa. Direct access to Drake, that's the best location ever. In the city of Zurich, it would not be possible because in the city of Zurich, the lake shows are public. And we are here in the state of Zurich, it's just not. Here, 70% of the lake shows are private. No sería posible tener una villa en la ciudad de Zurich con acceso directo al lago. Porque en la ciudad de Zurich, las orillas del lago de Zurich son públicas. Acá no, estamos en el estado de Zurich. Es inquilino en esa villa de 14 habitaciones. Vive junto con su segundo marido. Tina Turner married for the 2nd time last September. She invited 300 guests in a lovely park. She hired a helicopter that flew over the guests, that dropped rose petals over the guests. The only flaw of these rose petals was that these rose petals were made from plastic, not real. She looks like she's now 73, looks like 50, and sounds like 40. What do you want more? And she's married to a young lover, 20 years younger than she is. What do you want more?
Yeah.
Tina Turner, 73 años, tiene la cara de una mujer de 50 y baila como si tiene más. Y está casada ahora, por la segunda vez, con su amante joven, 20 años más joven que ella. Tuvimos un casamiento con 300 huéspedes en su parque, alquilaban un helicóptero que bajaba rosas bajo los huéspedes, rosas de plástico. No era lo ideal. Tina Turner hat zum zweiten Mal geheiratet im letzten September, hat sich eine Bombenparty geleistet mit 300 Gästen, musste jeder weit erscheinen, weiße Kleidung. Ich wurde nicht eingeladen und habe mich tief getroffen. Könnt ihr das nachvollziehen, ja? Hat dann einen Helikopter gemietet, der ist dann über die Gäste geflogen und hat Rosenblättchen abgeworfen, aber der einzige Stilzug eigentlich in dieser ganzen Zeremonie war, die Rosenblättchen waren aus Plastik. Waren nicht die richtigen Rosenblättchen, waren Plastik. Aber sie, 73, 57 Jahre alt, 20, 40 Jahre, ist mit ihrem langen Zeit Liebhaber mit Bach, Erwin Bach, das ist ein Produzent, verheiratet, hat ihren amerikanischen Pass zurückgegeben, weil sie musste auch in Amerika Steuern bezahlen. Jetzt ist sie Schweizerin, um zum Schweizer zu werden, muss man Deutsch oder ein bisschen von der Geschichte und ein bisschen von Tradition wissen. She has handed back her American passport because she was fed up of paying taxes twice, once here and once in America. So yes, she has become a Swiss citizen. In order to become a Swiss citizen, you have to pass an examination. You have to know, be fluent in one of the 4 national languages, either in German, in French, in Italian, or in Roman. Apparently she is fluent in Swiss German. You have to know a little bit about Swiss customs and Swiss history and tradition. Sí, ahora es ciudadana, tiene otra ciudadana suiza. Antes su casamiento era ciudadana americana, ahora es ciudadana suiza. Porque no quiso pagar impuestos 2 veces, una vez acá y una vez en los Estados Unidos. Entonces entregaba su pasaporte americano y ahora tuvo que pasar una examinación. Una de las 4 lenguas oficiales de Suiza, que sea alemán, francés, italiano o romano, tiene que conocer las tradiciones, las costumbres y un poquito la historia. When you look around, you see lots of cranes. There's real construction fury going on in this country. Every second square meter of land disappears under the crane. Today, that is an area of 11 football fields. Many Swiss are worried about this development. Why is there such a construction fury? Checking this country, having checked this country for the last 10 years, 3 reasons. First, immigration. Every year for the last immigration. Second, the best investment in this country is not to have a bank account where you get an interest rate of 0.25%. And the banking fees are higher than the interest rate. The best investment in this country is to have real estate, because that has been going up again for the last 65 years. And the third reason, never in the 60 years, in the past 60 years, the interest rate of mortgages have been so low as they have been now. They have risen a little bit in the last 6 months. They are now between 1.5 and 1.8% for a mortgage guarantee in 10 years. 1.5%. These are the 2 reasons why there is such a construction fury shaking this country. Han visto muchas grúas en ese país por 3 razones. Cada segunda, un metro cuadrado desaparece bajo asfalto. Cada día desaparece una superficie de 11 campos de fútbol bajo asfalto. Y si ese desarrollo se continúa, en 40 años las llanuras del país serán asfaltadas completamente. Y un gran porcentaje del canto del país habrá desaparecido. Entre 1.5 hasta 1.8%, garantizado por 10 años. Y la tercera razón es la mejor inversión en ese país es no de tener una cuenta bancaria donde tienen un interés de 0.25%. Los gastos banqueros son más altos que el interés. La mejor inversión en este país es de tener una cuenta bancaria, de tener terreno. Ja, Sie sehen Kräne, soweit das Auge reicht, Bauprofile, soweit das Auge reicht. Gerade hier an der Goldküste, natürlich privilegierte Lage. Warum ist das so? Warum ist es so, dass wir 1 Quadratmeter Land subventionieren pro Sekunde? Das macht
Большое озеро.
Fußballfelder, und wenn das so weitergeht, werden wir in 40 Jahren das ganze Mittelland zugepflanzt haben. Und das beunruhigt sehr viele Schweizer. Weil es sind 3 Gründe. Die beste in diesem Land ist, Land zu haben, also Wohneigentum oder entweder als Stockwerkeigentum oder als Grundstück, als Haus.
Вот такие горы там нужны.
Das sind eben die, kriegen Sie eine Hypothek mit garantiertem Zins. Also 10 Jahre lang. In den 70er Jahren hatte man noch 7 bis 7,5% über die Gaszinsen. Jetzt haben wir 1,5 bis 1,8. Vor 6 Monaten war es noch niedriger, 1,2 bis 1,5. Das sind die 3 Gründe, wieso das so wahnsinnig gemacht wird in der Schweiz.
Какая гадость.
And now we are in Meilen, M-E-I-L-E-N, Meilen. From here we take the ferry,
Taking
either this
ferry.
one or the next one.
Он considers ferry, maybe look.
Okay. The next one is just on the way. The ferry saves us a detour via the upper end, 30 kilometers of the lake, or the lower end, another 30 kilometers. We had a ferry, public transport, again, part of public transport. We had that ferry since the 70s. Tomando el próximo ferry, que se ve ya, 10 minutos domestic product. Germany has 70% debt of measured as the gross domestic product. France 100% debt of the gross domestic product. We had 35%. We still have the AAA in Europe. Another reason is infrastructure. Look at the roads. If you find any bump holes there, you earn a bar of chocolate. If you find 2 bump holes and 2 bars of chocolate there.
Celine, if you see bump on the road, you're allowed to chocolate.
But they are very old already, I can tell you, because I never had the chance to give them away. Then, public transport, that's a real pearl in this country. You can reach the remotest village in this country with public transport. In the Alps, we have the so-called posting cars, yellow buses, that transport the mail, they transport the locals, they transport the pupils, and they transport of the next stop of public transport. 200 meters, that's a 3-minute walk, affordable to everyone. Then, education, based university here, 92% of the pupils go to public school, and then we have the unique system of apprenticeships. 320 apprenticeships, and that means you are being trained. The lowest taxes in Western Europe together with Monaco, but Monaco is fully booked. There's still some space left here. Then another reason is geographical location. We are in the heart of Europe. Pero elecciones prematuras. Acá no tenemos rebeliones, no tenemos golpes, no tenemos huelgas. La última huelga que tuvimos en ese país tuvo lugar en... Sí, están buscando por aventuras en el peor país del mundo, Suiza. Porque acá hay estabilidad, continuidad, consistencia de los turistas y la gente local. Entonces, diarios y una red de ferrocarril que es la más densa. La medicina es carísima por cabeza, según más alto del mundo, basado el sistema que tienen en los Estados Unidos, pero acá nadie cae en pobreza porque no pudiera pagar. Gente bien educada, 92% de los alumnos se van a escuela pública, 92%. Los únicos alumnos que no se van a la escuela pública son los niños de millonarios que no quieren mezclar con los alumnos regulares y los expats, la gente, los extranjeros que se quedan acá por una periodo limitada. Y nuestro sistema de aprendizaje, tenemos 330, es escuela profesional. Y se termina siendo como Roma con certificado, es cabecero, el certificado, es electricista certificado y es un diploma que está reconocido internacionalmente. Luego la seguridad leal, una ley para todos. Otra ventaja es el porcentaje de los crímenes, muy bajo, más bajo que en muchos otros países de Europa, y impuestos muy bajos. Esas son las ventajas. Weiß ich, haben Sie noch was mitgekriegt? Ja? Soll ich noch wiederholen? Nee.
It's pretty yellow.
This a town is a town in this country when it has 10,000 inhabitants or more. It's called Aldishvili.
Aldishvili.
Many places end with are named after animals: eagle, swan, then bear, lion, pony, bull. Sí, esa ciudad, una ciudad en el país, si tiene 10.000 habitantes o más, Aldishvili tiene 15.000. Tiene en su bandera un águila. Un águila en conmemoración del primer edificio mencionado en Aldishvili, que era un restaurante. La tercera parte de los restaurantes en ese país llevan nombres de animales: oso, loro, cigüeña, león. La tercera parte. Aldishvili, eine Stadt, 10.000 Einwohner macht, also ein Dorf eine Stadt, Leute die 15.000, viele Orte hören mit Wien auf. Zürich alleine mit 400.000 Einwohnern hat 2.000 Restaurants und für 200 Einwohner ein Restaurant. Ein Drittel der Restaurants sind nach Tieren benannt, also Löwen, Pony, dann Bären, Löwen, Storchen. In a minute, you didn't listen. Look on the right, you see that chimney? Kommt der rechts runter, in den Kamin, la chimenea, Lindt, la fábrica de chocolate, Lindt.
Шоколадная фабрика, chocolate factory.
Because we are the chocolate kings of the world. Nobody else consumes that much chocolate as us. So we consume per head of the population, including the diabetics and the babies that shouldn't eat chocolate, 124 full bars of chocolate. 124 bars of chocolate. 12.4 kilos. Nobody mentions that. Consumimos, somos los reyes del chocolate. Ningún otro pueblo consume tanto chocolate como los suizos. 124 tabletas de chocolate diarios, incluyendo los bebés, que normalmente no comen chocolate, y los diabéticos, que tampoco consumen chocolate. Also, wenn du Schokolade kaufst, überträgt uns jemand 124 Gramm Schokolade pro Kopf, das kann man vorstellen, mit den Diabetikern und mit den Babys, die eigentlich keine Schokolade essen sollten. 12,4 Kilos pro Kopf. We say that out of The 100 Swiss, 99 lost chocolate, and the 100 one is lime. Nosotros decimos sobre 100 suizos, 99 aman al chocolate y el centavo está mintiendo. Wir sagen ja, auf 100 Schweizer lieben 99 Schokolade und der 100 lügt. Kann man so sagen? Ja, kann man so sagen. Jetzt möchte ich dann sehen, da rechts ist das Sternauge von La Casa de Thomas Mann. Sehen Sie das Sterbehaus von Thomas Mann, der ist hier 1995 gestorben. Ging ja nach USA, musste man dann nachsehen, kam dann zuerst an die Goldküste und dann hier gestorben. Sein Büro ist übrigens
Cat, Lilliput, Pussycat.
Ja, no, so the cat, ein bisschen weiter unten. Das ist jetzt gleich. Ja, sehen Sie das graue Haus da vor Ihnen da? Rechts. Haus. Da, grey house on the right, the birthplace of Thomas Mann. La casa de la muerte de Thomas Mann. Aquí murió. Here he died at the age of 80 in 1955. Acá murió en 1955.
From Thomas Mann.
He is a Nobel Prize winner for his novel For the Brox, which he published in 1901. Er ist übrigens Nobelpreisträger, hat gehört an der Novelle For the Brox, publiziert in 1901, hat er den Nobelpreis gekriegt. What has been in for the last 5 years is dark chocolate. Dark chocolate has a little bit less calories.
Well, no.
And it's less sweet. And the big runner of the last years was dark chocolate with chili.
No.
Sounds funny, but
Chocolate with chili.
it is a delicacy. You get it in any shop in
Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate
I don't like
with chili.
dark chocolate.
You get dark chocolate with
bitter.
ginger, you get dark chocolate with vanilla, you get dark chocolate with orange.
Yeah, me too.
lemon.
Milk chocolate for that.
But the runner is dark chocolate with chili.
I don't like white chocolate.
And
I do.
la fábrica Lindt tiene pasteleros siendo más y más popular porque tiene un poquito menos calorías y menos dulce. Y el gran suceso de los últimos años es chocolate negro con chili.
Chili.
También tiene chocolate negro con vainilla,
Negro,
con
también
naranja, con jengibre. Schokolade, schwarze Schokolade mit Ingwer, mit Orangen, mit Zitronen, sogar mit Salz. Ganz speziell Salz.
Chocolate with
Ganz
salt.
speziell.
You would like it.
Ja, also an der Sendungsleistung
You would love that, wouldn't you, Mum?
muss ich sagen,
No, not chocolate, no. Chocolate is supposed to be sweet. Мы по другую сторону от озера плывем. Едем. Она долго еще продолжается, поэтому мы пересекли, а там поедем до конца.
And we have 1,222 fountains that makes for 313 inhabitants. We have a fountain that's an enormous density and all with perfect drinking water.
Remember this
En
line.
la Sierra Zurich y sus alrededores consumimos agua del lago. 70% del agua que consumen en su hotel viene del lago. 15% son es agua subterráneo y 15% es agua de fuente. Y en total tenemos en la wir konsumieren in Zürich und Umgebung Seewasser, perfekt, sauber, 70% des Hahnenwassers ist to that central station up to the lake. You see it both sides. Acá el pozo de la ciudad, un paseo muy pacífico de la estación central hasta el lago. Das ist in der Stadtrahmen, sehr hübscher Spaziergang, frente am Hauptbahnhof Terraza, del Instituto de Tecnología. Si guardan la mejor universidad sobre la colina, tiene buena vista muy cerca a la ciudad, la vista desde arriba. Vista maravillosa. O otra idea, que tomen el bus 33 terminal a terminal, es
Restaurant, oh yeah.
el primer restaurante vegetariano das erste vegetarische Restaurant in Europa, nicht in der Schweiz.
Vegetariansky
Wurde von einem
restaurant.
Deutschen gegründet, 1899. Being
Vegetarian
vegetarian then
Vegetarian
was no fun
restaurant.
because people were laughing at the vegetarians. They called them the herbivores. They called them the grass eaters. They had to enter via the back door. Today it's a little bit different. The restaurant was called the Rootbakker. Siendo vegetariano en esa época era muy difícil, porque los vegetarianos estaban considerados herbívoros, eran llamados herbívoros, y el restaurante se llamó el Street, the Bahnhof Street, connecting the Bahnhof station with the lake. De la calle principal, conexión entre la estación y el lago. Bahnhofstraße, Friedrichstraße, 1,4 Kilometer lang, Verbindung zwischen dem Bahnhof und dem See. After H&M, CIA abrieron sus tiendas, han perdido mucho de su glamour. Es un asunto de prestigio de estar presente en Bahnhofstraße, porque los alquileres están altísimos. Se paga 10 mil francos por metro cuadrado o más anual. Ist einiges von seiner Noblesse verloren, aber punkto Mieten sind das Top-Mieten, die zum höchsten weltweit gehören, also teurer als der Interstate in London, teurer als Champs-Élysées in Paris, teurer als Fifth Avenue in New York und das Causeway Bay Hongkong. Sind also zwingend nie für einen Quadratmeter oder mehr, und man muss irgendwann Schlüsselgeld bezahlen. Dann die man Interessen, die bekommt, und Schlüsselgeld wird geheim gehalten. Weiß aber, es bewegt sich in Millionenhöhe.
Так, это у нас 4-й, кажется, день. Да, 4-й день. Мы сегодня ездили в зоопарк, а сейчас мы едем на трамвае. Смотри на меня, Лель. Едем на трамвае по городу. Сейчас этот район немножко снимаю. How many bars you use? Так, I hope we will not miss this. Zoo. Приехали в Zoo, Соул, зоопарк называется. Трамвай такие ездят. Остановками стоят.
Wolkastraße.
Там the lake. Все домики у них со ставнями. Вот такие вот ставинки. Почему у нас это не делают? Всегда была традиция русских, тоже такие ставни. Вон какие ставинки. Многие на велосипеде тут ездят. Ну, вот завтра еще в Бонн, в Берн собираемся. В Берн, город медведей. Медведь посмотреть. Кампус. А, это университет, кажется. Не уверена. А, университет, вот он. Университет. Ну, вчера еще просто приезжали. Нет? А вот университет, да? Вот, вон университет, Цюрих университет. Вот сейчас я его хорошо увидела. Это University, Лилилок. Ну, какие ставинки? Не оставляет там, как у нас. На стекло. Ну, какой домик в стиле барокко, смотри. 1892 год. А ты сейчас будем уходить. Да? Okay, come on. Fish, look, lobster. Don't you want lobster? You will allowed to eat lobster today, no? Well, look, like this all fast food, look. Pizza here. Don't you want the spaghetti then? Look, I want the slightly strawberry cake. Maybe to have it. Take one to eat home. What do you think? Strawberry cake станциями. Так что посмотрим. I think you may buy some drink here. But we already bought this lovely cake, didn't we?
This is what I have now.
That's too big. Look at the portion. huge. And again, stay here. Look, this moves. Again, there's too many stuff here. How much is this bunny?
385.
Oh.
Wait.
That's
Yeah,
very expensive.
385.
You may take this egg if you just
80.
80, yeah. That's it.
185 as well.
It's very expensive. So, this egg, all you... Are they fish? Are they sushi? I think there's sushi type here. Oh, look at this. Look. Oh, look at this. They're doing a lot of things with chocolate. Lily, look. I don't think. Так. It's that day number 5 now.
Go to the market.
Yeah, I don't think it's Max even open yet.
Now?
Так, мы едем в Берн. Так, он смотри, какой здесь маркет, look. Сейчас поедем на скором поезде или на каком. Всего час от Цюрика до Берна. Вот смотри, какие у них всякие соленья. Ну. I'm not going to, I just film around. Let's go. Stay away here, yeah. Disgusting here. Oh look, there's all the fruits here. Why it's nice and fresh? Like, you know what I want? I want to go toilet. Where's the toilet here? Oh, it's only on the train. I think this restaurant where we've been yesterday. Bloody Burger King.
Look, there's another Burger King.
Yeah, but today we have sandwiches with us, didn't we? Oh, look at this jam. I wonder what time it's open, this market. Oh, look at this. Look how many lovely sweet things here. What would Nicholas would do now, you think? You're just ignoring all this and just go.
A festival. No.
Oh.
You have to pay
Ah, this
for
one.
everything.
Oh, look, капуста. Смотри, это не капуста. What sort of fruit is it? It's a unique fruit. Ah, look at this tomatoes. Oh, look at this, how many stuff here.
I want to break in on them.
Лили, моя красавица. Сегодня с такими валюсиками. Так, на. Platform 16. I think this is 16. Where we saw this last platform, we saw the train there.
Yeah.
Shall we look? That should be our train. It's not there yet. If not, we'll go find toilet. Yeah. 16. Platform 16. Look. This is platform 16, is it? Вот мы в поезде. Такой здесь скорость, второй класс. Так, а вон там у нас и туалет, а тут у нас прям вагон-ресторан. Смотрите, рядом с нами ресторанчик. Ресторанчик. 2 этажа. Здесь очень цивилизованно. Хватай. Ah, yeah, lovely. Well, I think we're going off we go. So we're going to Bern. На поезде. Через Швейцарию. Вот леса здесь кругом. Принцесса сидит. Какая-то деревенька. Что это за город? Это остановка, наверное. Всего час. Меньше часа до Берна ехать. Очень хорошо. Снова леса. Тут грибы, наверное, есть. Какие горы, Лили, смотри, Лили. Mountain. Lily. Lily. Mountain. At least they're not big mountain. Some Australian something here with controls. Hope not. Actually, I don't care, we have tickets. Моя принцесса сидит. Лягушка-путешественница моя. Девочка моя. Влезая. Вот это Европа, Центральная Европа. Нет, не знаю. Название города интересно. Вот его чем. Вот фильм его чем.
Barbie.
Вот Барби.
What is it called again? Oh, Barbie Diaries.
Барби вот?
Barbie Diaries.
Место называется Олтон. Олтон Род. Олтон. Посмотрим, что это за Олтон. Банки кругом. В этой стране хорошо. В Германии намного все дешевле. Вот Нолден. Здесь хорошо жить, работать в Швейцарии, а покупать все в Германии. Жить в Германии. На границе здесь. Мы проезжали мимо Германии вчера. Совсем рядом, все рядом. Ехать на работу в одну страну, а жить в другой. Вот Нолден. О, смотрите, горы. Ставинки везде в окнах. Вон, цивилизованная страна, здесь воров вообще нету. И то ставни на окна. Замок на горе. Вот. Жалею. Интересно. Oh, look at this castle, Lily. Look at how pretty castle there. Lily, look. Распишь все. Nice. Уже подъезжаем к Берну. Вот уже почти подъехали к Берну. Берн это от слова бер. Бер это медведь. Или можно сказать еще бер по-немецки, да? Бер или бер. Он сказал, третью съеду. Сегодня даже больше видели. Едем назад из Берна. Всего 2 часа нам хватило, чтобы посмотреть весь город. поскольку у нас сейчас бесплатный билет, не бесплатный билет, а за льготную сумму, объедем столько, сколько можно в Швейцарии. Сейчас поедем еще на это озеро Констанц. Вернулись назад в Цюрих и сразу же отсюда едем в Констанц. Озеро это Констанц. Сделаем все, что возможно. Выжить отсюда.
Nächster Halt, Zürich Flughafen.
Это аэропорт.
Next stop, Zurich Airport.
Look, we can go from here as well. Zurich Airport. Station near airport. We could go from here as well. Maybe sometimes we don't even need to go here. We can go to airport and go in somewhere else. There's a lot of places to go. Так, едем в Констанц. Можно даже через аэропорт проехать, что намного проще. Дачу у них. Садовые участочки по нашему даче.
Nächster Halt, Winterthur.
Сарайчики. Так же наша дача начиналась. Это Winterthur. Winterthur. Странное название. Зимний тур. Станция. Что тут ехать? Winterthur. Yes. No, put it back. Put this one back in here.
Wait.
Definitely. Маленькая моя ест. Еще какое-то закрытое место. Вот это вот Вейн Хелден, по-моему. Где он пересадку нам сделать, если мы не успеем на последний? 8. Там тоже станция. А, вот называется Фраунфельд. Фраунфельд. Это женское. Фраун, это женщина. А может, я не так прочитала? Фраун. Ой, будь здорова. You still have full battery? You still have full battery?
Half.
Half? Oh, look at this. I would rather look around, look how pretty here. Cows, look Lily, cows. Cows everywhere. Cows. Moo. Sheep. More animals here. I have 2 lilies. I can see 2 lilies. Если он там такой вид красивый, вон там лучше снимать. Лилечка сидит, моя красавица. Какая панорама. О, коровы, овцы, чисто нет.